gonna light this candle. All right, greetings, folks. I am starting the stream. I think I'm gonna turn off the light real quick because the lighting's too bright. There we go. It's super dark now too. It's gonna get darker, but it's really dark. I was hoping that the lighting could be a little better this time around, you know. But I want to I don't know. I could probably, we'll see. But I'm going to start the stream. But we're about to play some more Eurofront. And I've got everything set up here, including the chat, the stream box here. But hopefully you can see everything pretty well. Hopefully you guys can see me. All right, let me see where I am. I think I'm on the bottom right of the screen, right? Yeah. But yeah, welcome. We're going to play a little bit of Eurofront. I don't know how long we're going to play. I tend to talk a lot. And I tend to be exploring other aspects of the game, right? Every time I play this game, I can't help but notice that there's a lot of deeper aspects that come to mind when I play this game. I find it mentally very experience. And so, yeah, thank you for joining me on this adventure. I am glad to know that you guys are enjoying, guys and gals, you never know, but I'm presuming mostly guys are enjoying the stream. That's super awesome. And enjoying the campaign and just this game session. This is probably, I would say, like my top 5 favorite sessions of playing this game, primarily because I'm actually trying to play it till the very end. And I think I'm at a point now where it's like I have effectively mastered the game. Maybe not mastered, maybe. I don't know. I've put a lot of hours into the game for sure. I would say hundreds of hours into this game. But I'm definitely at a point where it's like I feel pretty confident in my ability to play the game. I still make mistakes, still making mistakes in a game like this. But as far as just having this kind of just deep understanding of the game and say World War II, it's definitely been an interesting experience for sure. So I'm pretty glad about that. Now, I will say, has this given me a deep insight to the meaning of life? I don't think so. As much as as much as I would want it to, right? But I'm pretty sure that's a deeper question to explore. And I really don't know how much knowledge actually helps with that endeavor, finding the purpose of one's life or the purpose of what we want to do with our lives. But I can say it seems to have given me some kind of value in my life to actually be able to explore history, specifically history and human events, and actually do it in a pretty interactive way, right? And video games basically do a lot of that, right? Depending on which video game you play, there's a lot of really cool video games these days. But I do appreciate the war games for this reason. I'm sure in the future there may be other games that I do explore, but for now we're going to keep exploring this Eurofront. And I think for the present moment, probably for the next year or so, I imagine we're going to dedicate ourselves to playing this scenario, finishing the scenario, and just, I don't know, exploring more, right? That's kind of the idea. So again, if you want to play against me 1v1, we can definitely do a live stream or something like that, or I can record the session. I think the live streams are automatically recorded, and we can definitely play a game, upload it, I'll put it on the channel, and you guys would other people can appreciate this game. So, and then of course, I mean, as far as other kinds of games to explore, I mean, there's many more, right? But for now, I think Eurofront, given the depth of the game seems to have, given all the rules and so forth, yet its simple play style, right? It's pretty awesome game, right? Very detailed game as far as analyzing World War II. Okay, so with that said, I'm right now on the Eastern Front. That has been the main focus of this game scenario, this game session, and it is the main focus of World War II in the European theater. Although obviously other battles like the Battle of the Atlantic, the Allied offensives in other areas were also very important, without a doubt. But in terms of manpower, right? The Eastern Front still takes up a lot of attention in terms of armies specifically. Eastern Front takes up a lot of attention, and that's what's kind of happening in our game here as well. You can see German army has penetrated deep into the Soviet Union, pretty much what we saw before. We had a really successful 42 summer offensive. I'm going to go ahead and start the file now. But basically, we're now in October of 1942. And we're going to see what the weather is like in 42, right? That's the main kind of thing to explore. A lot of it's going to come down to the weather. Can the Germans continue their offensive as we begin to transition to the winter of 42? And I think this particular scenario, this place session that I'm going to do, I think I might just do like 2 months until December, and we'll probably stop there. Now, other interesting things that have happened on the Western Front, we've seen the Allies do a successful landing. This is the second time the Allies have achieved a landing on the Atlantic Wall. And right now they decided to go for Ostend. This is really just the British Army, right? The British Navy and Army that are doing these operations. There's not really much of a presence of a large U.S. Army yet in 42. But it's pretty cool to see that the British have been able to pull off some pretty interesting operations. They've been pretty cool to do. Well, right now the Germans have responded. We kind of established a perimeter around the British landings, but we actually didn't attack the British landings. And that's partly because we actually transferred a valuable reserve of infantry to the Eastern Front. Now, that may have been a bit overkill as far as the German army, and also came at the cost of not being able to have like sufficient infantry to attack the British, right? And so the situation in the West is kind of sensitive in that sense. Now, if you look at the North African campaign, the British are finally advancing deeper into Libya. The Axis only hold about a third of Libya, right? I mean, central Libya has effectively fallen to the British. But it's taken a while for the British to make this progress. It's taken several months. And we've been able to actually build up the Axis pretty well. So this final battle here for basically West Libya is going to be an interesting campaign, right? It's going to be a very interesting campaign, namely because the Axis are pretty dug in. They have a nice defensive position. And we'll see if we'll see how well the Axis can hold out against the British, right? But as we're in October 1942, the Allies do have the strategic initiative, at least on the Western Front. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to start the turn with the British, and we're going to see what they do. Right now, we have this U.S. Fifth Corps located in Portsmouth, but we don't have the presence of other American units. I guess we have another Sixth Corps right now in Gibraltar, but I think it's not until November that the Allies actually gain more reinforcements. We're going to gain the Second Corps in November, as well as another HQ that we can all deploy in Gibraltar. And we're going to use those units to actually invade French North Africa. And the idea is, let's take North Africa as soon as possible, right? The campaign, the situation here in France, I mean, we don't really have the manpower, right? We have a few additional corps in reserve. Eighth Corps, which is a mech, the Fifth, the Third, and then the Second Canadian Corps. So that's the equivalent of like another army. Basically, about two armies are available from Britain into Western Europe, right? But I think if we really want to like establish a second front, we're going to need more than just two armies. I think we need like four, probably the equivalent of like four armies to invade France, right? And so we need more manpower. We need to at least match the Germans in terms of like numerical superiority. We need to match them in numbers. So two armies, I think each army, for the Allies, I would say it's either 15 or 20,000 troops per division. Each corps is comprised of about 5 divisions, including the cadre, which is double. So you're looking at about maybe 100,000 troops per corps, which I think is relatively reasonable. Historically, it may have even been less. It may have been only about 60,000 troops per corps. But I guess in our game, it's about 100,000, give or take. And so you do the math on that. Yeah, I would say I think that's a relatively accurate number, maybe a little bit less, because the British Expeditionary Force in France during the Battle of France was I think about 340,000 troops, and at its peak strength, and it was comprised of I believe 3 corps and like the British HQ. British headquarters units. So presumably that's 4 units, one of which is not even a full combat unit. And so yeah, you're looking at about, yeah, I would probably say something on the order of 20,000 troops uh, per division, presumably, or something similar to a division. In this game, it would be just one of the steps here. So yeah, I would say that's a relatively more or less accurate figure. And so right now, we basically have deployed the equivalent of a British expeditionary force into Ostend, including these, I guess they're the equivalent of 3 British SAS Special Air Service units, right? Which are paratroopers. I think they're the same formations. I'm gonna have to do some research on that and brush up on that for sure. But presumably, we've got, a lot of British troops right now in Ostend. I mean, we're looking at what easily could be well over 200,000 troops in Ostend. Now, I want to look at, before we do anything, let's do a little bit of historical research. Let's look at the Dieppe raid, 1942, which was it was an amphibious landing that occurred in 1942. I think it was spearheaded by Canadian units, I believe. This was an operation called Operation Jubilee, where the Allies tried to land against the Atlantic Wall and try to penetrate the German defenses, and they actually made some headway before they evacuated. My question is how many troops actually participated in the operation? What was the actual planned invasion, like the strength, right? How many units were actually participating? According to this, it's only 1,500 German defenders. But if we look at what the British involved, it was the 2nd Infantry Division, also a bunch of commandos. I'm not sure how large each commando is. Commando unit. I'm not sure how large they are. I'm assuming they're probably the size of like a platoon, I would think. We also have 237 ships. That's actually quite a bit. 74 aerial squadrons. In total, it's about 10,500 men, including 50 U.S. Rangers, and then several commandos, including French commandos. Pretty interesting. Now, I would presume that, for our game, I mean, as far as scale goes, when you do an amphibious invasion, you obviously have a lot more units involved. But the beachheads, I guess, are not fully depicted in this game, right? Because you can only send so many troops on the beachhead, right? Like at any given instant in those first opening minutes or hours of the operation. But in the case of Overlord, I mean, there was only a few tens of thousands of troops in like the initial waves, right? In the first opening hours. But like by the end of the first or second day of the landing, you had many more troops. Or I guess by the end of the first week, you had, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of troops on the mainland, right? So the equivalent of like several divisions. So I guess this raid was just one division that participated. But they did not successfully break through, right? In our game, we did see a breakthrough. And like apparently they've penetrated something along the lines of like they have penetrated about 100 kilometers deep into German occupied territory, into Belgium. So it's a substantial amount of territory that the British have secured, and they've been able to establish several divisions in the region. So the only thing I have planned right now is we have 3 units here. We need to like be aware, be cautious of a German counteroffensive, right? As we approach winter, it's going to be very hard for the Germans to launch an effective counteroffensive because the winter on the Western Front is mud. It's very hard to launch any effective attack with mud weather. Having said that, I do believe that the best thing we can do is just fortify this position. Maybe even go in with the idea that like we're not expecting any units to be pulled out, right? But I'm thinking like let's move another mech unit. I'm gonna activate this Allied HQ, and we're gonna do a operational. Actually, it's a strategic move. Go 1, 2 across these 2 sea basins, and we're gonna send this 8th Corps in. So we're just gonna fully stack up into Ostend, and then I guess on a future turn we can actually pull out this airborne corps, which is very expensive. pull them out, bring them back to London, let's say, and then swap them out with, like, say, this Canadian Corps, right? So that way we have 4 mech units, basically the equivalent of British armor. I guess it would be like maybe some Churchill tanks. I'm presuming a lot of Churchill tanks, or at least a lot of like anti-tank guns, 6 pounders. I don't know if the 17 pounder was available in 1942. Maybe a few, but like we have a lot of anti-tank network, and basically a mobile reserve at the local scale to hold off any kind of panzer assault, and that's going to help us a lot to make it very difficult for the Germans to drive us off this position. Now, inevitably, we are going to have to withdraw, and I think, thankfully, we actually have enough ports to withdraw. Right, the beachhead acts as a port, Ostend acts as another port, and then so we can actually pull out 2 units via like sea moves, and then we can use this HQ to blitz, do a reverse invasion, a retreat invasion, and pull out the last 2 units through the opposite of a sea invasion, right? A sea withdrawal. The point I'm making here is that we're going to be able to withdraw all 4 units safely in a very short amount of time. This is equivalent to the withdrawal at Dunkirk that we saw in 1940. Not in this game. I don't think there was too much of that. I think the British withdrew preemptively. It was a very quick withdrawal for the British, but we can basically do it again. And the idea right now is to just strategically occupy the German forces in the West as much as possible to give the Soviets a little bit of breathing room, if at all possible. So that's the game plan. So we did 2 strategic moves over here, and then we have 2 strategic moves left. I'm thinking the next thing to do is maybe advance some of these units in North Africa. Right now, and actually in North Africa, we are in a position to actually attack the German line. But I'm seeing a fundamental problem here with the British situation, and the bottom line is that these British units are going to go on some kind of the equivalent of a crusade, right? And it's like we need more units. I have these like kind of British occupying units in Persia, Iraq. I pulled out this unit from Palestine, but like we're still vulnerable, although it's relatively low because the Germans can only roll a 1. There's only 1 axis controlled port in North Africa at the moment, but the odds of some kind of uprising, right? If I look at the diplomatic events for the Axis, there's these uprisings that can take place. The Mideast uprisings. It can happen in Syria, Iraq, or Persia. And if they do happen, we can lose some of these valuable resource areas, right? We don't want to lose Iraq or Persia, especially. So I'm thinking the most like stable option is to leave these units behind. Just the presence of some kind of British expeditionary force, right? British Mediterranean force, something like that in these areas, so that we don't have to worry about if there is an uprising, we can shut it down relatively quickly with a few divisions, right? And the uprisings are not very strong, right? There are a few tens of thousands of troops, but we do need the presence of some kind of British units in the area. And right now, because the Axis could, in theory, do an amphibious invasion from Athens, I'm thinking we also got to protect Alexandria at all costs, too. Because if we lose Alexandria, I mean, all this whole expeditionary force, right, that's invading Libya, it's going to be out of supplies. So that's no bueno. So the problem I'm seeing is that these units here, they're going to be, whatchamacallit, they're dealing with really bad supplies. We've got 4 British units. I'm thinking the best thing to do, we're going to advance this HQ by 2, right? That's the other strategic move. Now, I think what we're going to do is that we're going to blitz, but I think the idea is we need to put as much pressure on this Axis line when we do attack, and we need to be conscious of the fact that we are vulnerable to a German counterattack. If the German counterattack succeeds, our entire invasion may be thwarted and we may have to pull back and start all over. We could sustain heavy casualties. I mean, who knows? I would rather avoid that if at all possible. So I think the best thing to do, I'm actually going to go ahead and activate this HQ. One of the British units, I guess is going to be this Mediterranean unit here. I'm going to put it here on the flank, right there. Yeah, we're going to do two strategic moves. And the idea is now we're in position to launch this attack. And I think the game plan is we're going to try to strike at the flank of Misurata, break through at the flank, and then once the flank collapses, we can, converge on Misurata, right, which seems to be the most well-defended position. I think attacking that line directly is a bit risky, primarily because, you know, um, it's very hard to attack, right? We can only have this hex side limit only allows us to send one unit forward. So we got to just kind of be aware of what the Germans have in store for us, and we just got to be cautious of any kind of like aggressive German counterattack. So that's what we're doing. Um, Basically reinforcing all our positions and steadily encroaching on the axis as much as possible before we launch a decisive blow. Or in the case of our situation here in the Atlantic, just try to fortify the position as much as we can. All right, now I'm going to switch over to the Germans, and we'll see what the Germans can do. The situation for Germany is pretty bad on the Western Front, mainly because we just don't have many strong units to counter the British landing, right? We've got the 64th Corps, the 90th Corps, pretty below average infantry. And then we've got a Panzer Corps, Army Group G, or it's called G. And then we've got the 58th, it's only one division. We got this Fortress unit, it won't be able to participate. And then we've got this 91st Mech unit. I'm thinking that if we do launch an attack, we want to make sure that we have as many full strength units as possible before we launch this attack. And right now we don't. A lot of the production that we have for the Axis on the Western Front is relatively low. It's only 12 production points, while the Mediterranean front is at 30 production points. So if we want to establish a strong Western Front offensive, let's say, we're going to need more production. That's the bottom line. We need a lot more production on the Western Front if we want to actually launch any kind of offensive. We need more. We don't have enough production. We have like no HQs right now. All these HQs are at level 0, no field HQs that are really available, and the OKW is at level 2, right? And HQ production is pricey, right? I think right now, yeah, we don't have a whole lot of production. Now, I think there were 2 German units, now 3, but one German unit was destroyed on the Western Front, and we got these 2 other German units that were destroyed on the Eastern Front, the 43rd and the 39th Corps, including another Panzer Corps. I'm thinking that these 2 corps, we're actually going to build them up on the Western Front, and we're going to use them as part of this invasion force or this counteroffensive task force, meaning a 3rd Corps is the equivalent of basically a Panzer Army that we can send forward to try to break up Ostend, right? With another infantry, I think the odds of it succeeding are very possible, but we just need to build. So I'm not going to do anything on the Western Front right now. We should probably roll for weather on the Eastern Front. Let's do that. It is an odd roll, so it's going to be mud on the Eastern Front. All right, and so with that, if it's mud on the Eastern Front, I don't think we're going to do any operational moves right now on the Eastern Front. Nowhere that I really want to attack. Now, I could try to keep this offensive going on Moscow, but attacking with mud is, it's just not ideal. Primarily because, like the chances of us succeeding are relatively low, right? They're just relatively low. You can see that our frontline infantry that are attacking the Moscow district defensive line at Kaluga and Mosaisk, the main 2 areas of defense. We already took Tula. Are low strength infantry, right? They've sustained notable casualties. So, thankfully we have reserves that we can swap in and out, right? We have a strong infantry reserve. So we could, in theory, keep attacking. But I am thinking that we wait we wait a little bit more before we decide to launch like any more operations, and we just save up our production another turn. Let's not spend any HQs, and the next turn we can pretty much spend everything on building up reserves, right? And there's a lot of units here that could actually use some kind of replacement, right? The second core, this E unit, which I think actually should be on the Western Front. That may be one of the reasons why. Yeah, we have 4 mech units. Maybe one of the reasons why the Western Front failed, because we have too many units on the Eastern Front, right? But we can build those up, build up this 28th, build up the 29th, build up Fortress unit. I think do like spend everything on production, right? I don't think we actually have units to spend. We have like 90 production points, 92 on the Eastern Front. Like we can build up 2 HQs. That's 20. That leaves us with 72. 72 divided by 4 is 18, right? 18 units we can build up. So let's see. The equivalent of 18 infantry. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I count like about 14 on the Eastern Front. We never actually attacked. Oh my gosh, we never attacked Murmansk, which is something that I meant to do. And then I guess the remaining production, we can pretty much just spend it on the Finnish. Build up the Finnish units. I'm not sure what else to really do. So we have just enough production, just enough units. And of course, these other units, maybe we can like swap them in and out right now so that we can spend them and start building them up as well. I think it's probably the most economical thing to do. So let's do that real quick. We're going to pull out, like this infantry, swap it out with this one. And then we're going to pull out this armored unit, swap it out with another infantry. That's 4 strategic moves. In fact, actually don't need to even put another one in there. And then we're going to pull out this infantry unit. I'll put it over here, swap it out like that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 strategic moves. Is that right? 1 in, 1 out. That's 2. Another one out. That's 3. Another one out. That's 4. One more in. That's 5. And then I can move this unit. I guess I can just move it forward. Where do I want to put it? We have a strong reserve of infantry in this sector, right? The equivalent of like about 2 German armies, which is pretty strong to keep attacking Moscow. So I'm thinking, yeah, let's just move this unit forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess I just gotta put it over here. 9, 10, like that. Maybe we gotta move it down south. Maybe we can like move it to Melitopol and like maybe try to put pressure on Crimea, right? Presumably the Soviets are doing like an aerial bombing campaign against Romania. And I'm also presuming that the Germans have responded with a very strong anti-air defense. And the Soviet strategic bombing is probably not all that effective anyways. Right, predominantly medium bombers. They don't really have any long-range bombers. And they're not very accurate. And a few German Luftwaffe squadrons are enough to kind of tear up the skies and deny the Soviets to conduct a low-cost and highly effective bombing campaign against the single most arguably the single most important industrial region for the Axis, one of them, in terms of oil production. Right? There's nothing in Germany that matches the Ploiești oil production. But you can see like Frankfurt, Stuttgart, I don't, oh yeah, there's Munich, Berlin, very powerful, Hamburg, very powerful industrial sectors, right? All right, and then I think with that, we're going to deactivate OKH. Oh, we can only do 4 strategic moves, I just realized. Dang it. We can only do 4 because this HQ is actually disrupted because it is in mud. So we only can do 4, and we did 5, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. And then, okay, so we can cancel this. No, I want to put an infantry unit in there. 1, 2. I wanted to pull out all the weak units for sure. So that's 1, 2, 3. 3 weak units. And then I wanted to replace them with strong infantry. That's 5 strategic moves. And it's like, we can't really do that, fortunately, which is a bummer. So I guess this armored unit will stay put in Mosaisk. We'll do 1, 2, 3. Is that right? Oh, we also, yeah, put 1 unit in there. So 1 out, 1 in, 1 out, 1 in, right? That's it. That's all we can do with OKH. Eight, 9, and like that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have fallen back to Warsaw, right? And now we'll be able to operate at full capacity without any disruption from Warsaw in the following turn. So that's it. So just, very uneventful turn. But I'm gonna like save up on the German HQs and really just like dig in for the winner. But like I really I don't think we need this German infantry. These 2 German corps. I wanted to maximize the manpower on these in front, but I really don't think we actually need it that much. I don't think we really need it. Frankly, I mean, all the German units are doing decently well, it seems. We've been able to kind of keep pace with the war of attrition despite suffering more casualties in this 42 compared to the historical 42. Although I guess by the time the Soviets did launch their counteroffensive at Stalingrad, I mean, the casualties that followed were pretty bad. But most of those casualties, I believe, about half of them were like Romanian, Italian, and Hungarian casualties that were sustained in the Soviet 1942 winter offensive. I think the other half, the Germans did sustain significant casualties in 42. There was like casualties around Moscow during what is famously called the Rezhev Yazma meat grinder, where the Soviet armies were trying to basically dislodge Army Group Center from its forward positions near Moscow. So the Germans were the ones defending. And then there was kind of a back and forth at Leningrad. Soviets launched offensives to relieve the siege. Germans would launch counteroffensives that basically neutralized Soviet progress. It was kind of a back and forth from what I understand. But like strategically, it was a total stalemate in the north and in the center, right? As far as like changing on the way the front changed, it wasn't very significant. The map didn't change that much, but there were like major operations taking place. All right, so that's it. That's all we got for the Germans. I'm thinking it seems kind of redundant, but if we want to accelerate our offensive against the British here, I'm thinking maybe we do transfer these 2 corps back to the Western Front. We put in so much effort to move them to the Eastern Front, right? Seems kind of redundant to kind of move them back to the Western Front, but I'm thinking, it's going to take some time to build up these Panzer Corps, right? It's going to take a little bit of while. It's going to take a little while to do that. And these infantry, the nice thing about these infantry is that they can absorb so much damage, right? And that's really what they're meant to serve as, just absorb the damage that the British are going to presumably inflict on our initial attack, and we can just pin down the British, and then from there steadily swap out, build up our Panzer army, right, to actually launch the decisive counteroffensive that we need. So it's an interesting option. I'm not sure if we'll do it or not, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. But the Western Front could use more manpower for sure. That's it. Nothing else on the Eastern Front. Um, I mean, even if I wanted to move up this Italian 10th Army, which we did succeed to rebuild, I don't even have the Supreme HQ to move it forward, right, to the front line here, to Misurata. Wouldn't be a bad idea if we did. But I'm thinking, let's preserve the Africa HQ as much as possible before we do anything, right? Like we want to save this HQ. So doing this one move, I don't think is worth it. As far as like logistically, it's not worth it, right? So that's it. Let's switch to the Soviets. Now the Soviets do have some breathing room. They do have like a bit of a respite from the German onslaught that has basically the pace for the last few months of fighting. June was the decisive breakthrough. July was another decisive breakthrough across the Don River. I believe that's what it was. By August, basically August and September were the more attritional battles around Moscow. And so now the Soviets do have a relatively stable defense. I mean, it's definitely being tested. The Soviets are like, I wouldn't say at their breaking point, but they have sustained a lot of like operational casualties. I think the wisest thing, I mean, we can look at the what I've saved here and try to calculate how many casualties the Soviets have sustained. I mean, both sides have actually been sustaining relatively equal losses. The worst time was actually June 1942. The Soviets lost 1 million troops in 42, which is just insane to me. That was really the worst. July, August, September, it looks about about 750,000 additional Soviet casualties. If it wasn't for the loss in June, the Soviet casualties would be a lot lower. But right now, like at about 1.7, 1.8 million Soviet casualties. Now, the Soviets do have a strong immediate reserve. We have these two shock armies, right, at full strength. And I'm thinking the best thing to do, the wisest thing to do would be to send these shock armies in right now and basically relieve all these other Soviet units as quickly as possible. I think that's the best thing to do. And if we have a little bit of breathing room, we should probably take advantage of this moment and try to like reinforce the front line, pull out under strength or otherwise weaker units, and make sure that we have that our secondary line is strong. So that's what I think I'm going to do. I don't know if I should do Stavka or the Western HQ for this operation, right? Both I think can operate at full strength because they're in Moscow. They're in Moscow, so they're not going to be disrupted by the mud, which is very nice. But I'm thinking like we definitely want to make sure that our front line is strong. Moshaizk and Kaluga have definitely been sustaining heavy losses. But like it seems like if we can just hold out a little bit longer, we're going to be in good shape to then maybe launch a counteroffensive elsewhere. And that's the game plan. If we really want to save Moscow, we have reserves built up, some kind of a reserve up. And it's like right now, it would appear that I'm investing all of my resources defending the front line, and it's costly. It's costing us a lot. I think historically, for the defense of Stalingrad, the Soviets were putting in very low quality units to the defense of Stalingrad, right? Low quality units on paper, right? But the German units were pretty logistically strained themselves. The end result was that it was hard for the German units to gain ground, and Soviet morale was very strong during the Battle of Stalingrad. I think overall. So while the Soviets were putting in weaker units into Moscow, their strongest units were actually being built up around the flanks of Moscow. So that when finally the winter arrived, the Soviets were able to launch a decisive counteroffensive, not through Stalingrad, but on the flanks of Stalingrad. Right now, I think in this game, we're not exactly doing that. You can see, we've got an armored unit in Kaluga. We got weaker units here in Mos Heist, but they're not strong enough to hold out, right? Maybe we got to fall back from Mos Heist. I just don't want Moscow to be contested, right? And that's, if there's any key difference right now, is that the German army was this close to taking Stalingrad. By the time the Soviets launched their offensive, the Germans had control of 90% of the city. I mean, the Soviets were at their breaking point. I mean, they were constantly at their breaking point throughout the whole battle. But give the Germans an extra month, I think they would have been able to take the city of Stalingrad by the time the offensive took place. So we're kind of denying that. We're kind of preemptively avoiding that. But I'm thinking we're going to send forward this Soviet shock army in, and then I'm going to pull out as many Soviet units as I can out, because I want there to be a strong Soviet reserve, basically, is what I'm thinking. Same thing here in Kaluga. I'm going to move in this other shock army unit in, and then I'm going to pull out this other shock army unit out, like so. And then I guess I'm going to move this infantry unit at 20th down south. But the idea is that, we have right now very weak reserve, but like we can basically give these Soviet formations that are at their breaking point a little bit of breathing room, pull them out of the front line, so that they have time to breathe and receive the desperate reinforcements that we need. Maybe I don't pull out this 33rd. Maybe I still leave it there. I just put one unit in and then one unit out, right? And then here, maybe I don't pull out the shock army. Maybe I still leave it in there as well. I don't know if that's the best option. Like right now, I mean, if you look at this, the Soviet strategic reserve, there's pretty much nothing. There's a very, 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 very weak reserve um, right now around Moscow. Like they need, they need time to build up for sure, right? They need time to build up. But like, yeah, where do we even launch a Soviet counteroffensive? I know that we can attack this on this flank over here, but like as far as anywhere else, I just really don't know. There's really nowhere else on the front line where I see the Soviets in a good position at the present moment to launch any kind of offensive. And we're also spending an HQ right now to like do operational moves. And it's like, if we want to attack the flanks, I mean, I feel like we're just in a strategic gridlock. It's just really tight situation for the Red Army. And it's like, if we don't come up with a good strategic plan soon, the Germans are inevitably going to gain ground, right? I think the Germans have the offensive operational advantage. It would seem to be the Soviets simply haven't found a way to counter the German firepower. We haven't been able to match the German firepower on the front line, right? Or if we have, it hasn't been enough to kind of like counterbalance the fact that the Germans just have, stronger reserves than we do. They're winning the war of attrition effectively, is what I'm saying, or they're able to sustain it while gaining ground. So the Soviets need to come up with a better system if we want to change the tide of the war, and I don't see a better system right now. I think the best thing that the Soviets can do in the long term is, first of all, sustain the casualties, replace the losses that we've sustained, and then build up the Soviet force pool, right? We got to build up all these tank units, all these mech units, especially tank, mech, and cavalry. We got to build all these units up. We need to upgrade the Soviet army if we really want to push back the Germans, right? Like if we had another Soviet front, the equivalent of a couple of tank armies on this southern sector, right? And we had like maybe 2 units per hex, we would have enough firepower with full strength HQs backing them up. We would have enough firepower to overwhelm this German defensive line in the south, and the Germans would then not be able to sustain their offensive on Moscow. One of the reasons why they can do it right now is because the Soviets aren't able to put strategic pressure anywhere else. So the whole situation is pretty sensitive, is what I would say. I think I'm going to pull back this shock unit because I want it to be built up, and I think that's it. That's all we're going to do for the Soviets on this turn. Or maybe I don't know. Maybe we do leave the shock units, that shock unit in Kaluga. It would help. It would boost the defense quite a bit. It may actually make it very hard for the Germans to make progress. But the problem is that we need more reserves, and we don't have those reserves at the moment. So it's kind of like a problem of reserves for the Soviets, I would say, is the main issue I'm seeing. This issue, like we need more units. We just need more troops available. And it's like we don't have them. I am going to pull out this first army because I just think we need to build it up and to make sure that it's able to operate at full efficiency. All right, so that's it for the Soviets. We're going to move on to the next fortnight. We'll roll for weather. It is clear weather on the Eastern Front. I guess we didn't have to use OKH, but we decided to anyways. All right. Yeah, that was kind of dumb for the Germans. We could have had more air support. We're going to pass for any operations from the British. I think we're going to hold off on even attacking Libya. I think we're going to wait until this Mediterranean unit, this Western Desert Force, is built up at full strength before we strike. I think that's going to be very important. And let's also wait to do amphibious invasion of Morocco and Algeria and try to attack the Axis from two fronts. There's no rush to take Libya, I don't think. If we can't take Libya heads on, which seems relatively, I really don't know what are the odds of succeeding here. But rather than gamble that, I'm thinking let's wait, try to make headway in other parts of the front, force the Axis to respond strategically. And it's like sooner or later, the Axis are going to have to do some kind of operational maneuver if they don't want to lose like Algeria and Tunisia. So I'm going to wait with the British. That's the game plan. We'll switch over to the Axis now. And I think this move to pull back OKH was kind of a dumb move because we could have provided air support for more operations against Moscow. But that's what we're going to do. I think we're going to do a blitz right now. This is probably going to be the last operation before the weather turns sour. And it's like, maybe it's time that we attack. I don't know. I mean, the Germans have quite a heavy battle ahead of them, right? If we want to take Moscow. But I think that's the focus. It's just sustain the war of attrition as much as we can. That's the game plan. All the Panzer Corps are under strength, but we do have like strong infantry. I could also try to do an amphibious invasion across, but let's wait until the winter. I mean, there's no rush on that. All right, we're gonna put army groups a little bit further back, so I can move up this infantry unit to the front line. Yeah, so we got 2 infantry corps in reserve. Oh, we got 2 more over here as well. Jeez. Yeah, all right. We should be in good order to do more operational moves. But unfortunately, only 1 air support right now. Be nice if we had 2. Question is, where do we want to air support, right? I'm attacking with 3 Panzer Corps over here. I'm thinking maybe we just attack with 2 infantry. Really take our time here. And we're going to pull out one of these armored corps. So I got 4 infantry in reserve here, so I can do another round of combat. But let's, I don't know, I'm going to put the airstrike here on Kaluga. and just see how these battles go. I mean, the Soviets do have the terrain advantage, right? So let's do the Battle of Kaluga first. Airstrikes, no hits. Soviets have a lot of double defense, and it paid off. The Soviets scored 5 hits, just like that. That tank army, moving in that tank army definitely paid off. All right, so the Germans sustained 5 losses at Kaluga. That's a big ouch. So yeah, maybe the Soviet line will be able to hold out. But that's the equivalent of like another 100,000 German casualties there. Germans are going to retaliate. We scored 1 hit against the Second Shock Army. Okay. So yeah, Soviet defenses are tough for sure. That was actually a good move to bring in the reserves. All right, now the Soviet defense at Mozhaisk, a little bit more vulnerable. Let's see how the Soviets do. And they score 4 hits. Excellent. Yeah, the Soviet line is holding out. German casualties are at like almost 200,000. Germans are going to retaliate. We score 1 hit. So yeah, we're not even at Moscow itself. And Soviet defenses seem to be holding out. All right, we're going to keep this... we're going to keep just sending in the stormtroopers into these areas. I mean, regardless of like the casualties that we're sustaining, right? We're going to keep moving in more infantry to the front line because of a better strategy. It's not the best strategy as you, but it seems like it's going to get the job done. All right, so I put in two fresh infantry units in there. I'm going to put 1 infantry unit in there. This one, oh, I have one more over here. Oh, this one can go in there as well. And then we got to pull out 1 more infantry. All right. The northern flank is looking a little vulnerable. Yeah, it is. Actually, this infantry unit's going to move north. And then I guess this guy going like here. And then I pulled out a weaker infantry. Oh, yeah. No, I guess this guy is going to have to like go out over here. And then we got another armored unit. I don't know where to put the armored unit. We also got to be careful with Tula, right? We got to be very careful with Tula. What the heck? I could have sworn I had another armored unit. What the heck? Oh, what? So I pulled two infantry units out. One out from there. 1 in. And 1 in from there. What the heck? I could have sworn... Hold on. I could have sworn there was 2 Panzer Corps in there. Maybe not. Huh. All right, so maybe we don't attack Kaluga. I did, yeah, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 2 units in, 2 units out. Maybe we don't attack Kaluga at all. We don't even have a Panzer group there. Oh, strange. All right, we're not going to attack Kaluga. I'm going to put the airstrike marker on Mozhaisk. See how it goes. No hits. So he's only scored 1 hit. Panzers are going to roll. Ooh. Wow, the Germans scored 6 hits. Just like that. That's equal to 3. Nice. Very nice. And that's it. That's all we got for October. Yeah, most heights is where we want to focus. German offensive, it looks like. Now, if we switch over to the Soviet side, Soviet losses significant at Mos-Heisk. They're almost at their breaking point. Strong defense in Kaluga. It's holding out. Don't have many reserves, right? Now, I could swap out these weaker units with stronger units. I can do like, yeah, I can put 2 units in and 2 units out. Maybe that's what we have to do. The only problem is that it keeps costing us HQs. And right now, the Soviets just don't have HQs available. So I'm going to pass for the Soviets. Let's do the production. Soviet production, what is that? It's at 57, looks like, which is actually pretty good. We're going to definitely build up Stavka, build up the Western HQ. I think we should also build up the Baltic HQ. I think we should also build up the Ukrainian HQ. That's 40 production points. That leaves us with 17 production points left over. And the remaining 17 are presumably going to have to be spent on these ground units, right? 3 here, another 3, that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, no. So hold on, that was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 to build up that armored units. And that's it. The Soviets don't have anything else that we can build up. We got to build up the HQs. And I think the bottom line is like, we can't spend these HQs anymore on anything. Like, they should stay at level 1 and just stay at level 1 for the rest of the war, but try not to spend them if we don't have to. And then the remaining Soviet units over here are all pretty under strength, and we haven't been able to build up the Soviet force pool, right? Like, so I'm thinking, like, what if we cancel? No, what if we like cancel? Two builds, and instead try to build up more ground units. It's a massive expansion program. It's a massive build-up program. And if we're going to do it, I think we need to do it at scale, basically. But like, we need like mechanized formations. We need to build up all these formations, and they're just not cheap. Right? Like, building these 5 units costs 30 production points, right? Building up these armored units would cost 48 production points, right? So all our production would basically be spent per turn on building these formations. But I'm thinking, like, maybe now's the time to do that. Try to build up more units. 20 production points available. And it's like, we need more reserves for sure. And we don't really have them. They're not available. The defense of Moscow desperately needs more. It needs more. I'm going to cancel the 20 production points there, and then just try to build up more infantry. Build up this infantry. All the units around Moscow need to be built up, basically. So that leaves us with 16 production points, right? I guess 17. There was one more left over. With 17 production points, I'm thinking let's try to build up probably if we can. Cavalry are valuable. Armored units are valuable. Cavalry and armored units and mech units are all very valuable. 17 production points. Let's build up this mech unit here. Any other mech unit I want to build up? Not really. this mech unit. That leaves us with 14 production points. That's just enough to build up a mech unit and maybe this infantry unit over here. I'm not sure where to put it. Maybe put this mech unit over here. Other infantry units, we'll put it in Yaroslav, or maybe in Kalinin, or maybe we'll put it over here. Okay. I'm thinking we probably could use another infantry formation over here, actually. Maybe I put it in Saratov. It is at risk of being attacked, but I don't think the Germans are going to attack. If they do, well, it's a dang shame. We'll lose another unit there. So that's 4 plus 6. We have 4 more left. Let's go ahead and build this 6th army up here. And then we got 2 more left. I'm thinking let's probably build up this unit at Stalingrad. Oh, we need to swarm the Germans, right? With numbers. And it's going to take time, is what I've concluded. So we're going to build up these 2 armies. We've got this mech formation, very valuable on the flanks. Build up this cavalry. And then I think the rest of the production can go all into armor. I don't even think I'm going to build up. Oh, we got more mech formations here that we can build up. Right? Question is, do we build mech or armor? And I think it's got to be a balance of both. For every mech we build, we should probably build an armored unit as well. These are all cores, mech core, armored core, and have them basically pair them up. And I think we'll be able to establish some kind of force that we can use to break basically the stalemate that we have over here in the southern part of the front, while Moscow desperately holds on. But those are my 2 priorities: build up strategic reserve, use them offensively, while at the same time keep building up an operational reserve around Moscow. That's it. That's the best plan we have. And I think the allies need to do Lend-Lease as much as we can. Send as much Lend-Lease as we can to the Eastern Front. That's going to help a lot. We'll do German production now. Mediterranean Front is looking really good. I don't think I don't know. I mean, we don't have too many more units to build up. The HQs are built up. We have 30 production points. I'm thinking maybe it's time that we stop sending production to the Mediterranean Front, start focusing on the Western Front, and start basically building a plan to abandon North Africa, right? I mean, we're going to lose North Africa relatively soon. I know that the Allied landings are going to come sooner or later into Western Africa, Western North Africa. So I'm thinking maybe we just like accept it and just start to fall back in the West. Start building a strategic defense in the West against the Allied gains. And the main area that we need to launch a counteroffensive on is that British fortified position in Belgium at the moment. So before we do all that, I want to just look at the Mediterranean Front rules. I want to see how much production can we cancel on the from the Mediterranean Front and send it back to the Western Front. Basically, that's what I want to see. I gotta look at the table of contents here. Looks like no one's joining the stream, which is fine. I didn't make any announcement. I'll probably start doing that. But like we're still growing the channel, right? I'm actually getting pretty good views. Like for our war game, I'm actually like really impressed by how many views we're getting. My goal would probably be to start getting thousands of views per video would be like, I would say like a good goal to have. And if we can get there, it's definitely going to make it much easier for, more people to join the streams, right? But we'll see how it goes. I'm very curious to see where it goes, how it goes. But anyways, let's look at the Mediterranean Front. That's page 61. That's the Northern Front. I think the Mediterranean Front is first. Um, yeah, here we go. This is Mediterranean Front combat, production, initial allocations, raising allocations. Okay, here it is. Deallocations. MF allocations can be reduced by any multiple of 5 during any production phase. Deallocation revert immediately to the Western Front. So if I wanted to, I could like cancel all of the Mediterranean Front production right now if I wanted to, and divert it to the Western Front. Not a bad idea, given the situation. I mean, if we do decide to do that and we cancel all Mediterranean Front production, I mean, it's basically inevitable that Tripoli is going to fall. It's probably going to fall a lot sooner than we expect, right? So before I go any further, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to go use the bathroom, get myself more beverage, and then I'm going to come right back. But I'll keep the video running. But we're going to now transition to the next counter strategic situation. BRB. Be right back. All right, I am back. But we stumbled upon yet another kind of phenomenon here, which is kind of like this interbalance, if that's a term, between the Mediterranean strategy and the Western Front strategy from both sides. But right now, it's from the German perspective, and it's basically we're fighting the same opponent, right? But the logistics are notably different. If we abandon North Africa, there's the advantage that we are able to like conserve our production a little bit because Mediterranean for production, in simple terms, is not very cost effective. However, the long term strategic implications are that the Allies are going to gain more and more of a strategic initiative if we lose North Africa, right? And the Allied naval capabilities will expand significantly. So the question is, can we sustain an effective defense of not only southern Europe, which includes Greece, it includes Yugoslavia to some degree, the Adriatic Sea, it includes Italy itself. It also includes southern France, right? Are we going to be able to sustain an effective defense of just what otherwise is a massive amount of territory, right? Compared to what we're currently defending, which is really concentrated on one relatively narrow access, one road, one single road, but us and the Allied strategic, drive. Is it really worth it, right? I think the short answer is no. Like right now, if we had to defend Southern Europe, we're totally unprepared. We do have the Italian army, which is a relatively large army, but they're going to be demoralized, so they're not going to be able to defend very well. And then on top of that, we need more manpower. If we look at the German like reserve pool, we are actually unlocking more and more units, right? But like we're going to need a lot of these units to defend these other areas. And right now we don't have that pool of manpower on the Western Front in order to achieve a good defense, right? A lot of coastline in the defense, and we just don't have the manpower to do it. For example, these two militia units that we're going to deploy real quick. I guess we'll put one here in southern Germany, another one in, let's put them both here. I think I'm going to send these two units to southern France. It's the idea. We also unlock another fortress unit, the 84th. I'm not sure where to put it, but I'm thinking we're probably going to put it in, it's probably the best place to put it. And then we got another militia unit here. We're steadily unlocking more and more units. We are unlocking more German infantry. I mean, like we unlock another German army group December and January. 4 units, and also in February we do unlock these SS Panzer Corps, but we're gonna transfer those over to the Eastern Front without a doubt. I don't. Again, I want to maximize the Eastern Front as much as possible. We're sending them to the Eastern Front. That's the game plan. But you can see as we roll into March, so we roll into April, right? April, we actually unlock some pretty nice armored units, even a cavalry unit, right? But actually, as we roll into summer 43, we actually do unlock a sizable formation that we can use to defend, right? The problem is that, if we abandon North Africa now, it's going to be a while before these units are available, right? So I'm thinking, given the reserve pool, obviously, I mean, this is clearly set up for a historical playthrough, because I mean, by May 43 is when North Africa fell, and so all these units did kind of arrive in mass by the time North Africa fell. In our game, I mean, if we want to preserve the Africa Corps, which I think is a good move, we can pull these units out, and they will be able to at least establish a defense of maybe Sicily, or we abandon Sicily, and we can go and establish a defense along the I think it was called, I'm trying to remember the name of this defensive line the Germans had. What was it called? The Kesselring line, something like that. Defense of basically central Italy, right? The Casino line, there was a name for it, and it totally slips my mind what it's called. But it's not the Gustav line, I don't think. The Gustav line was further north. Let's look it up. Gustav line, World War II. It may have been the Gustav line. Oh, it was the Gustav line. Huh, I was right. Okay. I guess the second line had another name. But the Gustav line was the main German defensive position in Italy during the winter of 43-44. Right. It stretched about 100 miles, which in this game, I wonder if that's accurate. I mean, kilometer-wise, it's like 60, 180, plus like another little bit more over here, maybe like about 200-kilometer defensive line. That's what I have, according to this. About 100 miles, 160 kilometers. Okay, so apparently it's narrow. It's more narrow than that. But my main point is, if we pull out now, we gain the advantage of preserving this Africa Corps, which frankly is probably better off being sent back to France in attacking this British position over here. But like they're going to be very valuable in defending, say, Italy, right? But like losing Italy from the war too soon is going to be a bit of a strategic nuisance, to put it lightly. So it's a bit of a pickle for the Germans, is what I'm saying. But we definitely want to focus on pushing the British out of Belgium as soon as possible. I think that's the main game plan that we have, right? But it's going to come at heavy casualties for the Germans. In fact, this would be actually a really good place to attack with the SS Panzer Corps. Maybe we use the SS Panzer Corps in France first, and then transfer them over to the Eastern Front after they've succeeded in doing an operation here in Western France. So yeah, it's not an easy situation to resolve. But I'm thinking, let's try to hold out North Africa as long as we can. With 30 production points, it's actually a little bit lower than that. But we get to roll 6 dice, 5 production points. I guess in average, I'm expecting about 18 production points on this turn. And it's like, we can spend 10 there, another 5 here. I mean, we could definitely spend it in the Mediterranean front, but I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of production left over. And it's like, we don't want to have any production left over, right? If we do, it would have been better off saving that production for the Western front. So maybe like we can reduce the Mediterranean front production a little bit, but of course that's going to create long-term problems for us, right? Something else to point out is this armor group G is extremely valuable, right? And it's like we need this unit in Sicily. If we want to have a successful withdrawal of North Africa, we need it in Sicily as soon as possible. So I'm thinking maybe we do cancel some Mediterranean front production and we transfer it over to the Western front. And like, for example, on this turn, I can spend production on building up infantry, building up the armored units, and focusing on just building up formations so that we can actually launch this counterattack sooner rather than later, right? The idea is to launch it in February 1943. This SS Panzer Corps can attack from Amsterdam, right? It will be in range. And it's like we need other infantry units available for that, right? So it's definitely interesting, very interesting situation to explore for sure. I'm also thinking about grounding the paratrooper units as well. And like I don't know if we do if we do abandon Tripoli and like we decide to fall back to Tunisia, let's say, it is going to buy us a little bit of time, right? And I think that might be the best move. So I don't want to reduce the production too much in the Mediterranean front, is what I'm saying. So I think that's what we'll do. We're going to cancel. We're going to reduce the Mediterranean front production by 10. We're going to transfer 10 over to the Western front. Now we're at 22 in the Western front. It's much better. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build up this army group. Ideally build up okay, I'm thinking. Maybe we don't actually build up army group G. I want to have it available like operating from Tunisia, right? I wanted to have it available from Tunisia, but I'm thinking with 22 production points now on the Western front, OKW takes priority. That leaves us with 12 production points. And I think the remaining 12, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build up this mech unit, I think. And then I'm going to go ahead and build up this infantry unit from scratch. We'll go ahead and put it in Amsterdam, right there. And so let's see, December, January, February. Yeah, by February, this unit could be built up at full strength. And that's what we want to see for this counteroffensive. We want to have this unit built up. And this mech unit is pretty much at full strength. Maybe we cancel this mech build. Go ahead and build up this militia. One there. And like one here. Right? I think it's pretty good. Just make sure, if the Allies do another landing, I highly doubt it. But at least these militia units are built up. Or maybe not. I mean, I think the mech unit is good enough. We'll then focus, with 22, we can just keep building up more and more and more. And that's what we want to do, just keep building up our formations. We're going to have to build up some HQs. We got a lot to build right now if we want to succeed here. So yeah, I think that's a relatively good production on the Western Front. Eastern Front production, a lot to build up. But we've got 92 production points. OKH, Army Group South, Army Group North, Army Group Center. That leaves us with 52 production points. I'm also going to build up this fortress unit. Now we're at 42 production points. With 42 production points, I'm thinking Yeah, let's see what we can build. 42. Let's build up this infantry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 40 production points that we've built up. We have 2 left over, 2 extra, right? But it goes to show you how expensive everything is, right, in terms of production. Maybe I cancel one of these HQ builds, right? I don't think there's any infantry that I want to cancel. Maybe I do. Maybe I cancel. We don't have any full strength infantry. We barely have any. We got like 2 full strength infantry, so we can't even do that many attacks right now, even if we wanted to, right? Yeah, we can't do too many. We got a lot of infantry up here in the north. I don't understand why, but we need more time to build up. So I don't know if we're gonna do that many attacks. Is what I'm trying to say. So I'm thinking maybe we cancel one of these HQs. That leaves us with 12 production points. And I think with that 12 production points, maybe I build another armored unit from scratch. I mean, because maybe try to build up this armored unit here, this 39th. I'm thinking like maybe we need it in France, right? But like these 2 armored units could probably be built up. So, it's just not a great setup overall. 6 with 12 production points. Could build up another armored unit, maybe some infantry. Yeah, no, the German casualties were pretty bad last month for sure. It's definitely showing. Yeah, the German casualties definitely are shown, are definitely being shown here for sure. Yeah, maybe we like send another mech unit to the Western Front, right? I don't want to like over invest on the Western Front too much. I definitely want to be as economical as I can and prioritize the Eastern Front more. But with 2 production points left over, I'm thinking we probably could use. Maybe we do build up that armor unit from scratch. I just feel like I'm sure it's going to be like long term a good decision to build up that armor unit. But better build it now rather than wait, right? That's what I'm thinking. But the problem, of course, is like we need like a lot more frontline strength units, and we don't really seem to have many. All right. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and build it. So yeah, we got 2 full strength HQs. The other 2 are under strength. But I think this month of November, we're not going to see too much combat from the German perspective. All right. Not many German offensives right now on the Eastern Front. I think the momentum has kind of been stalled out due to mostly due to casualties, not even weather. Now let's do the Allied forces in the West. Right, the British are at 22. I think it's pretty clear that the main thing we want to do, we're going to go ahead and build up this Canadian unit, and then we're going to go ahead and build up. I think let's see. Also build up the strategic HQ. That's 16 production points. We have 6 left. Is there anything else we can build up? No. There's really nothing more we can build up, which is wild to me. Not even like the militia units are available. There's nothing. There's nothing. We may just have to toss out this British production, which I feel like is a terrible idea. Or maybe we save production on the next turn to like 42 production points. It's not a bad idea, right? I just want to like be as economical as I can. Or actually, it would be 44, right? And then we'll be down to 38 when we build up this Canadian unit. I'll build up 2 HQs. That leaves us down from 38 to 28 to 18. And then with 18 left, it's like we're gonna have 8 production points left over, and there's no units that can be really built up with that. So yeah, unfortunately, I think we're gonna have to toss out a whopping 6 production points for the Allies. It goes to show that the Allied casualties have been pretty low, but like I don't think it's a good idea to start wasting production, right? We want to be as economical as we can, but like we need to build up this Canadian unit. I'm thinking better to send this Canadian unit into this beachhead and pull out this airborne unit. Don't send another infantry unit over because they're just not very strong. The Canadian unit is a lot tougher, you know, so they've got more armor. So we want to do that as soon as possible is what I'm thinking. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Yeah. And then the 6 production points, I can't even transfer them over to other parts of the front, but presumably the British are going to get like more whiskey or something this month. You know, I'm sure that production is not going to be wasted entirely, but it's going to go to the civilian sector. It's not going to go to the military, or maybe it goes into the Navy, maybe it goes into the Air Force. Who knows? Maybe the British are going to invest in some kind of like rocket technology. You never know. But the point is, it's not going to improve the army situation much in this month. But yeah, with that, we also got this American formation ready to go in Gibraltar, which is really nice. And we're going to invade Morocco and Algeria. That's the game plan. We're going to go for Casablanca, and I think we're going to land in Oran. I could try to go for Algeria, or rather Algiers, but I'm thinking better to take it by land than by sea. There's always the risk of being repulsed, right? And I would rather reduce those odds of being repulsed. Yeah, you want to reduce those odds as quickly as possible. You know, ideally, we have another unit available. We do have this 5th Army, and we could use this 15th HQ to do the amphibious invasion. Maybe we send the British 5th Army, 5th Corps to Casablanca, try to have it land in Casablanca, and have these 2 American units, one in Iran, one in Algiers. That might be the best torch. It might be the most efficient torch. In fact, if we take Algiers, since it's the capital of Algeria, we take Algiers, all this territory becomes Allied control, all the way up to this area here, which is not the Kasserine Pass. It is called, what is it called? It's hard to see. Souk El Aras. But I'm thinking, yeah, maybe we do go for Algiers. Right. Okay, so that's the game plan. And also, let's do the Mediterranean front production. Did we do? We didn't do. Oh my gosh! I don't. Before I do that, let's do the German Mediterranean front production. We didn't even do that. Let's roll 4 dice. The Axis gains 16, which is nice. That's really good. 5 here, 4 there. That's 9, and then the last 6 will go here, just like that. Very good. Very economical for the Axis. That's exactly what the Axis needed. All right. And now if we go back to the British get to roll 6 dice. Their production is 8 plus 9 is 17. Build up this unit here, which costs 9. And then we'll build up this HQ over here. That's another 5. That's 14 of the 17. All right. Very nice. Let's do it. Let's start the November turn. We got to roll for weather on the Western Front. It is mud on the Western Front. So what does that mean? It basically means that I think the beachhead is like deactivated. I have to verify this. But for like amphibious operations, right? We got to look at that. What does mud do? That's naval supremacy. We got to read about beachheads. Beachhead disruption. Oh, storms destroy beachheads. Okay. Bordering that sea basin, negating all functions of the affected beachhead for that fortnight. Okay, that is a bit of a logistical problem. Interesting. All right, so says unengaged beachheads act as temporary minor ports, right? Unengaged, that's important. Right. And then we got to look at the supply rules of beachheads. I think I understand them, but basically, even contested beachheads, they act as supply sources, basically. So that's relatively straightforward. We rolled 11, so let's look at the player aid table. And 3 or 11 means Mediterranean Basin or the Black Sea. Okay. So we got a storm in the Mediterranean Basin. We probably should start keeping track of storms, especially that we are dealing with more amphibious operations. And then the Black Sea also has a storm. Now ports can provide supplies with storms, but you can't do amphibious invasions when there's storms. All right, so it doesn't really affect this game too much. What we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and activate the Allied HQ here. It's still at full capacity because it's in London. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the Canadian Corps. We're going to put it in here. Oh no. There is no storm in the Western Front, so we're still good. We can still use this port. I'm going to move the Canadian Corps in there. That's one strategic move. Then I'm going to pull back this airborne corps and bring it back to London, right there. It's a nice reserve to have a full strength, basically a paratrooper formation to invade anywhere else, right? Those are two strategic moves. And then I think the third strategic move I want to do. What do I want to do? I think I'll go ahead and move this American. Oh, we'll leave the 5th Corps in Portsmouth. Let's see. Let's go ahead and we got like 2 strategic moves left. What do I want to do? I guess I'll move this. This is like a Northern Expeditionary Force if you want to invade. Whatchamacallit, if you want to invade Norway. So I guess we'll put it there just to make sure it's Dover is protected. But of course, when we withdraw, we need to like pull back many more units. This Third Army is kind of like some kind of operational reserve. It's also to help protect like northern Britain or the northern flank of London, right? Or I guess technically eastern flank of London. And then there's really no other strategic move I want to do at the moment for the British. Right. I don't think there's anything else I want to do right now. Third strategic move. Yeah, no, Gibraltar is fully stacked up. There's nothing I really want to do. Now, for the Mediterranean front, the question is, do we want to launch this attack or do we want to wait for Operation Torch? I kind of want to attack now. I mean, regardless of landing anywhere else on the front, I think we have relatively good odds at overwhelming the Germans. I don't know what exactly the odds are. I would say maybe about 50-50. The most stable option is just simply wait for the Germans to react, right? So that we don't spend too much on like casualties and whatnot. I'm thinking we just sit here and wait. But we're at full strength now. I say we attack. And let's just see what happens. I mean, it's gonna be an interesting game. But this may win or lose the well, actually, I guess we'll wait on the next turn. We'll wait on the next turn. Yeah, we'll wait one more turn. All right, so that's it for the British. go ahead and deactivate this HQ. We did 3 supreme moves. We have 1 more left, but I just don't see any other unit that I want to move around at the moment. We did 1, 2, 3, yeah, 3. All right. Now we'll switch over to the axis. We got to roll for weather on the eastern front. It is mud. So the Germans do have the initiative, but I don't think we want to attack. I think we right now kind of sit tight and wait. Do is try to bring up these northern infantry, put them in position. I'm pretty sure we can do that on the next turn. I have no idea. Let's go ahead and just activate OKH. I think I want to send this infantry unit to the western front, right? Or no? No, I think we're good on the western front. I'm pretty sure we have just enough firepower to do the damage that we need against the British position at the moment. I'm thinking that we have just enough. It is mud on the western front. I could try to activate OKW, but I'm going to wait a little bit longer. It should be in Berlin right now to operate at full strength. Fortunately, it's in Paris. But I think we can do OKH at least. Let's go ahead and move these 2 infantry units like to the south. We'll put on understrength infantry or north. So that's 4 strategic moves. Oh, you know what? We could have also tried a river assault across, but we're not going to do that. Let's go ahead and move. I'm thinking, yeah, probably move this corps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Put it in Melitopol like that. If you want to like try to take Crimea, also makes it a lot harder. It makes our flanks a lot more secure. Actually, we'll go ahead and just leave it in Zaporozhye like that. It's going to be a lot harder for the Soviets to, attack the southern Ukrainian flank, right? I think that's the idea. And then that's it. I mean, there's no other strategic move I really want to do. We probably could. I'm going to hold off on that. That's it. Not a very special for OKH. Kind of a gamble there because, we are like, preemptively moving, but I think we have the strategic initiative enough to do something like that, right? In fact, it'd probably be better if I'm going to do that. Let's go ahead and move this unit. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's go put it in Tula. Yeah, have just have a strategic reserve pretty much everywhere. I think it would be ideal. Yeah, I think that's better. All right, so that's it. All right, now we'll switch over to the Soviets. See what the Soviets can do on this turn. Not much. We do have Stavka at full strength, but I think right now the main goal is to preserve HQ production as much as possible and just focus on making sure that our reserves are strong at the front line, right? So like most heists could definitely use reinforcements. So I'm actually thinking what we'll do, I think they can hold out another round before we send in more reinforcements. That's what I'm thinking. We got this 10th Army here. Yeah, I think the less HQs we can spend for the Soviets, the better. Despite the fact that our forward line positions are vulnerable, and we are at the risk of, sustaining heavier casualties, right? But let's try to avoid using as many HQs so that we can keep building up those reserves. Okay, Soviets are going to pass. Let's move on to the next fortnight. We're going to roll for weather on both fronts. It is on the western front. but it's mud on the Eastern Front. So yeah, the Germans did not, are not going to launch any attacks on the Western Front, on the Eastern Front. Okay, so now we're going to switch back forces. Now that we're in the second fortnight of November, we're going to go ahead and do Operation Torch. How cool. We're going to activate this first American Army group. It's going to be an invasion HQ, and it's also going to be a blitz HQ too. We're going to blitz. And then what we plan on doing, we're going to send the second corps to Algiers. Then the blitz invasion is going to be on Oran. We're also declaring war on Vichy, France. And then, I did not, I actually meant to do, I realized what I meant to do now. I meant to transfer this 5th Corps to, dang it, I knew how to do something. I didn't see that. Oh, dang it. All right, so unfortunately, I forgot to transfer this 5th Corps over to Dover, and it was going to be used in amphibious invasion to attack Casablanca. So instead of Oran, I think we're going to go for Casablanca. Dang it, we're only attacking with 2 corps into okay, no, actually, so we actually, what I actually want, I'm going to send the 2nd Corps to Casablanca, and the blitz will be on Algiers, like that. All right, we're sending 2 corps, and we're going for the capitals of these French colonies. That's the game plan. All right, and then while that's happening, we're also going to blitz over here. Definitely a gamble, but the idea is let's put pressure on the Germans now. Maybe we wait one more turn before we actually launch this attack. Maybe we wait, right? Regardless of what happens in North Africa, French North Africa, we wait. We see how the Germans respond. I'm thinking we should attack now to pin down these units and keep them like a bit overwhelmed. It's going to be hard for them to withdraw. So I think we should attack. I'm going to blitz, and I'm going to send these 2 really strong, pretty much the strongest British formations, and they're going to attack the flank of Misurata. And then we're going to converge our firepower on Misurata, presuming we can achieve a breakthrough over there. In fact, if we wait one more turn, right, if we blitz on the next turn, starting in winter 42, no, actually, Allied air power is still a double fire, so it's not going to, our firepower won't increase. I thought it was. It's not. So yeah. But we're going to try to blitz, and we're going to hit Misurata with everything we can. And that's the game plan. If we can just overwhelm Misurata, it's going to be hard for the Germans to withdraw. And if it's hard for them to withdraw, it basically means that we are going to be able to make more strategic progress because of the operational sensitivity that the Axis are going to find themselves in. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. We're going to blitz in Libya. Let's see how this operation goes. I'm not sure what we can call this operation, but it's probably going to be like Operation, what would you call it? Like, it has some like name to it. We'll call it like Operation Clockwork or something like that. Operation Whiskey, something like that. Who knows what's called? There's probably better names. Operation, like I'll call it like Operation Dragoon, something like that would be a cool name. All right, let's call it Operation Dragoon. I'll go ahead and Operation Dragoon. The operation is to secure the towns, the secure Misurata. That's the priority. So let's start. We're going to attack these militia paratroopers. Not sure how many troops that is. Probably like, I don't know, 2,000 to 4,000 troops. Air power paves the way, just like that. And then the militia unit surrenders. So stunning victory there. Very nice. We can keep track of Axis losses. I should do like Soviet, Axis, and then I'll call it like Western Allies, right? And presumably the German formations are much lower in manpower in the Mediterranean front. I know the Italian units are pretty large, but I think at the time of like the Tunisian campaign, it was about 150,000 Axis troops, and I think it was split relatively evenly between Italians and Germans. So as a result of that, like, you can kind of calculate, and I did a calculation a while ago on like how strong was each unit. But I know that the Africa Corps, was like, I think at its peak strength was about 60,000 troops, right? I think it was about 60,000, maybe a little bit more than that. And I think in this game, the Africa Corps would include that Mechanized Corps, the Africa Corps, both. So it was really more like an African army comprised of 2 corps, several divisions, and then also that paratrooper militia unit. So at peak strength, maybe about 65,000 troops. And if you assume that I think our Africa Corps is even larger than that. If you assume that's like at level 3, right? You can do the math on that, but it would be like, 3.5 times 2 plus another 3 because of the militia unit. And you basically do like 60, let's say 65,000 divided by that number. It'll tell you how many troops are per step. And it's about 6,500 per step. So presumably the Axis just lost about, what is that, like 18,000? Something on the order. I think it's 19,500 troops just now in the southern flank of Misurata, which is pretty significant. That's a pretty significant loss for the Axis. All right. Oh, let's track the losses there. I'll put it at 3 for the Axis. And to be clear, it's on the Western Front. I'll put a comma in front. All right. All right. And very simply, oh my gosh, we can even trap. I just realized we can trap the Axis. What the heck? Holy moly. All right. We're going to do a really fancy maneuver now. We're going to send the 13th Corps deep into enemy lines. We're going to attack the rear guard of the Axis. And then now we're going to go ahead and send these 2 corps forward to Misurata, supported by the 10th, like so. Now it is a gamble. I mean, the Axis could launch a counteroffensive. It's really up to the 13th Corps, right? So actually, as much as I want to attack, I'm thinking we hold off this attack. Instead, we leave the 13th Corps here on the flank, just because I'm afraid that the Axis can launch some nasty counteroffensive. It is a serious gamble. We don't really have the firepower. We don't have the firepower, right? I mean, I'm assuming that the Axis have their militia units, their HQ in Tripoli. This is probably another unit here. So we could trap whatever units are here, but we could also be expecting a really nasty Axis counteroffensive. So I don't know what the best game plan is here, actually. But I'm thinking we should try to attack Misurata with everything we have. And instead, I think I'm going to leave this 13th Corps here in Sirte, just so that the supply lines of this attacking group are protected. The thing is going to be very hard for the Axis to successfully take that position. If they do, well, we're in deep trouble. I'm telling you, like, we could use one more unit, right? If only we had one more unit. I think we're going to put this core right here. But if it gets destroyed, we're out of supplies, right? That's the problem. If it gets destroyed, we're totally out of supplies. I think the best thing to do would actually be send this 10th Corps more forward. It buys us a little bit of breathing room. We still have this 13th Corps in reserve. The only problem is that at the Battle of Misurata itself may go bad, and if it goes bad, the Axis could break out in that direction as well. So it's, no matter how you look at it, it's a bit of a messy situation. But I'm going to try to attack with 4 units, with 3 units rather than the full strength. And I'm going to leave this 13th Corps as a reserve. See how this battle goes. But the idea is, if we can capture the Germans, that would also be really, really, really convenient for us, for sure. So let's see how this goes. All right. We're going to do airstrike. It scores a hit. Germans roll. I think we have triple fire, defensive fire, and double fire, defensive fire. Germans score only 1 hit. Nice. And then the British have triple fire offensively and double fire. We scored 3 hits. Nice. 1. All right. Yeah, we're doing well here. We're doing very well. All right. That was actually a really good battle. Now the German strength, according to this, I guess is 6,500 times 9. How many troops are there located in Misurata? We had 58,000 troops in Misurata, which is a lot. Did I do my calculation right as far as like how many troops per step? I did 3.5 times 2 plus 3, yeah. 6,500. So yeah, no, the Africa Corps was very large, apparently. About 50, I calculated about 58,000 German troops there. And they sustained about 26,000 casualties just now. Holy smokes. The British lost only 1 loss. So it was 3, that's 7 for the Axis. British only lost 1. Oh, and we haven't done the battle over here of, I think it's Sirte? No, it's Holmes. That's where the militia unit, or the HQ is. No hits? All right. No, the British definitely kicked ass just now. Very nice. And now we're also doing the invasion of whatchamacallit, of Vichy, France. So let's set up the Vichy defense, right? All right, let's go ahead and do this. I'm gonna have to switch to the Axis to set up the defense. This African unit, they're all restricted. This actually goes into West Africa. This Algerian unit goes in Algiers. Tunisian unit goes into Tunisia. Moroccan unit goes into, we're going to put in Casablanca. And then this last unit, Oran, goes there. Oh, and then the last 2 will go in southern France. Marseille and Toulon. And now we'll switch over to whatchamacallit, the allies, the Americans specifically. And we're going to attack Casablanca. These are invasion sites, sea assaults, right? And it is in range. 1, 2, 3. We're going to put 1, 2. Oh, no, I thought we had air support. We don't. Dang it, I thought we had air support. We do not. All right, let's see this operation. Now the Vichy, I think the Vichy have like very low repulse against American units. I think they can only repulse on a 1. I got to read up on Vichy French units, but I think they can only repulse on 1, and they can surrender very easily too. They repulse really low and they can surrender really quickly. I think on a 1 or a 2, they end up surrendering. But I got to read up on Vichy France. Okay, so it says Vichy surrender Demoralization. Vichy becomes demoralized if Libya is Allied control or the Allied second front occurred. So yeah, Vichy is demoralized. So that actually happened a while ago. Vichy is demoralized, may surrender. All right, so that actually happened, I think it was back in July, or August 42, when the second front opened up. So there's that. Ambivalence. Demoralized Vichy units only repulse Allied assaults on a roll of 1. They can also capitulate to Allied units. If it's a US roll 1 or 2 in combat, all Vichy units are eliminated. If it's a British unit, it's a roll of a 1. So the Vichy are going to roll. They do score a 1. Dang it. They score a 1, meaning they successfully repulse the American landing. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay. Now we'll do the blitz phase. And the 6th Corps is going to go to Algiers. See how it goes over here. All right, the 5, the Americans roll. They score 2 1s, and just like that, this unit surrenders. Awesome. So presumably, that's like another parentheses, like 2 units, 2 Vichy units. I'm not sure how many Vichy troops they are. I don't know how large the Vichy forces were, but significant amount of troops surrendered, and we took Algiers. What does that mean? It means that everything west of Algiers is actually going to be out of supplies because it's under because all these bodies of water are actually being controlled by the Allies, right? The Western Mediterranean Sea is controlled by Algiers, and Gibraltar controls the Alboran Sea. And then I think the Atlantic Ocean is Allied control. So, I mean, we can actually roll to see if supplies gets through. We roll 2 from Oran, the port of Oran, to see if supplies can get through, get to southern France, for example. So let's see. We got to look at like sea supply, right? Naval parity to repulse on a 1 or a 3. And we roll 3 and a 2. 1, 2, 3, rather. And so, yeah, Oran is going to be, the supplies failed from Oran. What about from Casablanca? Atlantic Ocean, we got to roll 3. It gets through the Atlantic Ocean, actually, which is really nice. I don't think supplies can actually go through Gibraltar. So it needs to get to, oh my gosh, it got to the Bay of Biscay, which is actually Axis controlled. So the Axis units are still in supplies. Amazingly enough, we have a, holy crap. What is it? Not railhead. I'm looking for, oh, I guess I was looking for a railhead. But the Axis units are in supplies, oddly enough. Now we got to roll to see if the French are going to surrender, right? And I think the roll is you got to count how many ports are controlled by the Allies, plus how many destroyed French units are, and if the roll is equal or less than that, that nation surrenders. Basically, I think it's less than or equal to, not more than, right? I think it's less than, pretty sure. So yeah, Vichy France is still in the fight. Well, we also got to see if this unit down here in West Africa is going to be in supplies. And it looks like it's also in supplies. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So pretty cool turn. We're now going to switch over to the Axis. Nothing on the Eastern Front because of the mud. But like this is a good time to figure out what we want to do with the Germans. Unfortunately, I think the Africa Corps is lost. Like we can try to launch a counteroffensive, we might as well, but we're going to blitz with this HQ. And I'm going to go ahead and send this Italian army forward. right there. I guess we're gonna attack. Do we? You know what we should do? Maybe try to like do the airstrike here. Yeah, maybe we gotta do that. Then I guess I'm also gonna activate this HQ, and I don't know if this militia unit is able to. Hold on, I gotta read up on militia units real quick. I don't know if it can enter a combat area like that. Gotta read up on the unit types. But I know that it can only move with supreme moves. It can't move with HQs. Static units are only moved by supreme moves strategically or by normal land movement. Okay. All right. So they can. This Italian unit can move forward. We're gonna send it in. So it's up to the Italian army to save the Africa Corps. Basically, we are gonna blitz, and then we're gonna attack with all the air power we have. So it's really up to the air power too. There is a good chance we can break through. And I'm thinking, let's see, what is the air power situation for the Axis? If it's double fire, we have a good chance. And Mediterranean front, it is double fire. All right. Yeah, we're gonna blitz. And then other than that, I don't think there's anything else we really can do. I'm gonna go ahead and activate OKW. And the first thing we're gonna do is send these German units 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 into southern France. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to secure the ports. Then that's 2 strategic moves. Another strategic move will be to move up this infantry unit right there. Let's go ahead and move up this mech unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, like so. That's 2 strategic moves. There we have 2 more left. I think the last one I'm going to do is going to, oh man, we could really use this this 8th Italian army and move it to Sicily. But instead I'm going to just go ahead and move Army Group G by rail. Yeah, we have to move by rail because the Ionian Sea is British controlled. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We're trying to get it to Sicily. With the hopes of, I guess I'm just going to leave it in Rome. I don't know where to put it. I'm thinking Rome is the best place for now. It's not going to be in range. And in fact, we may not be able to save the Africa Corps, unfortunately. It may be totally lost. I don't think we should counterattack Misurata. The British have a strong defense, but I think we should try to destroy this 10th Corps. And if we can destroy it, we might be able to withdraw from Misurata. So it really comes down to the airstrike and the Italian army attacking. Strategic moves I really want to do. That was 2 strategic moves over there. I'm thinking maybe we cancel that move, that mech move. We got 1 more strategic move left. The only thing I'm thinking that we could do, maybe try to get this Italian mech corps to Sicily. That's what I'm thinking. I got to see what happens when Italian units become demoralized, right? Like what happens? I know that it's much harder for them to repulse landings, or if not repulse landings, they can't do something, like they lose some kind of special ability. But like I want to see what their combat ability is. They may only be able to roll on 1s. Demoralized nations can surrender. Allies control. Okay, but what are the effects? Can occur in exploited nations if the Allies/Soviets control any national territory. A resistance army can appear in home territory, right? Nations for one complete winter season are exploited. I think Yugoslavia exploited, right? Pretty sure. Yeah, Yugoslavia has been exploited for um, summer 41. So I think the winter went by. So basically, summer 42. As of summer 42, as of June 42, Yugoslavia has been exploited. Tito can appear, which is a militia army. If Yugoslavia is exploited, it can results one per game during any Allied political phase. The Tito unit arrives unsupplied at 1 CV, 2 CV after the second front in any mountain hex within Yugoslavia. Cannot be accessed occupied. Tito functions as an Allied mountain unit, subject to all normal rules except for the following special abilities within Yugoslavia only. It's immune to supply attrition. It can disengage into unoccupied mountain hexes, regardless of zone of control. And if disbanded, it can reappear in any again 3 months. Can reappear again 3 months later. Or I guess it can reappear again next season. I'm not sure exactly how that works. Point is, we could have activated Tito on this turn, and we could have like taken Belgrade, right? Dang it! But it would have been hard for the Axis to withdraw units to like withdraw Army Group G. With one more strategic move left for the Germans, I'm thinking the only thing really for us to do, I guess, is just move up this infantry units. I don't think it's necessary right now. But like we probably need another unit. Let's go ahead and get this militia unit to just replace the mech unit when we do decide to attack Ostend, right? And then we'll go ahead and deactivate OKW. And then we're going to move it by rail back like so. All right, that's it. It's mud on the Eastern Front, no activity, no need to attack. Single fire, not worth it. We're not going to really break through. But that's that. So I'm thinking I really want to continue this game, but like I don't want to start the next season. I don't want to start the next season like off to an odd start, right? But the Germans are going to pass on the Eastern Front. We'll switch over to the Soviets. I think the Soviets are also going to pass. Let's go ahead and now do the production for the Soviets, right? Oh, before we do all of that, we got to do the battles over here. Battles in the Mediterranean front. Let's see. It's up to the Axis. It's up to this battle here, this Battle of Homs. Super important battle. I really hope the Germans can break through. Airstrike scores 2 hits. Very nice. Very, very nice. British roll, no hits. Italians roll, they scored 3 hits, 3 out of the 4 hits that they needed to save the Africa Corps. Pretty good, though. Pretty good initial roll, I gotta say. We'll now do the Blitz phase. So the British did sustain. I don't know how large the British army is. I think for the Battle of El Alamein, the British were at about 200,000 troops, I think. 212. The second Battle of El Alamein. and presumably the British units were at full strength, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if the British right now have like about, yeah, they had 195,000 troops, which is a lot of troops. The casualties though were actually very low, 13,000. I'm not sure how that works. I guess like 1 or 2 step loss there. But if we look at this British Expeditionary Forces, it's actually the British 8th Army, right? It's the British 8th Army. About 200,000 troops. We can look at the game, and we can look at the winter setup. Oh, I guess in this game we can't. But we can calculate like how strong the British are. Technically, it's 5 steps per corps, 4 corps. It's about 20 steps. So if we do 195,000 divided by, what is that, 20 corps? It's probably a little bit more than that, or 20 steps. According to this, it's 25,000 troops. Oh, no, it's 9,000 troops. 9,750 per step, right? There may have been more and there may have been less. I would assume that the British units were at full strength when the Second Battle of El Alamein took place. I would also think that the British actually had, probably 1 more unit, right? The equivalent of like this other mech unit available. So it may have been 22. And if we do that, it's about 8,000. Still about 9,000 per step. And in the Battle of El Alamein, according to the casualties, it was 14,000 casualties. So I would assume that to be about 2 steps, right? I would assume that to be about 2 steps. Maybe the HQ includes a few extra troops, a bit more manpower, right? If we include the HQs, I would probably put that at maybe 26. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that 1 British step is about, I'm going to go with 7,000, maybe 27. I guess that was also at full strength. Who knows? Yeah, I'm going to go with 7,000 for the British per step. And so that means the British lost about 20,000 troops in this battle. Actually, 28,000, while the Axis lost about 42,000, I think is what it is, a little bit more. So the losses are actually relatively evenly matched here. We're going to do the Blitz phase, Battle of Homs. Air power did a really good job. Air power misses. Italians, oh my gosh, the Italians do fail to break through though, despite that initial attack. We failed to break through and we failed to destroy the 10th Corps. So our hopes of withdrawing are effectively gone now. That's actually a big no-no. So unfortunately, the Africa Corps may be completely gone here, which is not going to be good for the Germans. But with that, let's go ahead. I guess we can do German production right now because the Soviets will have the initiative next turn because it's going to be officially winter. It's going to be mud on the Western Front. So let's go ahead and do production. I don't know what to do with the Germans in the Western Front or in the Mediterranean Front. We could try to like transfer more production over, but I'm thinking like we may just have to cut our ties now and accept the fact that the Mediterranean Front is effectively gone. And I can't build anything. Like all these units are contested, right? All these hexes are contested. So I really can't build any units right now. I'm thinking let's completely focus on Western Front production. The Germans are going to gain 5 production points regardless. So we're now at 27 production points on the Western Front. If we decide to cancel Mediterranean Front production, if we decide to cancel Mediterranean Front production, our production on the Western Front is 47 production points, which is really, really, really good. But what are we spending on, right? The Africa Corps is going to be lost very soon. We need to like start establishing a defense of Southern Europe as soon as we can. That needs to be the game plan without a doubt. So in November, oh, we actually had more units that we could have deployed in November. We didn't. I'm gonna put this paratrooper unit there in Belgrade, and then German infantry, right? Like what to do, right? Where to put these units? What's the game plan here? I think what we'll do, I'm gonna put this German infantry unit in Belgrade as well. Army Group C, I have no idea where to put it. Maybe we put it in Bulgaria, HQ there. So we got like a bunch of understrength HQ, but they're all spread out, right? They're all super spread out. It's just not a great setup for the Axis. But I'm thinking like, let's abandon Athens, or like fortify Athens. I guess it is fortified. Let's pull back Italian units, start bringing them into Yugoslavia. No, I guess I'll put Army Group C in Belgrade, and I'm going to put this paratrooper corps in Sofia like that. I think that's pretty good. But we need to start fortifying positions. 84th Corps, let's put this in Paris. I guess we're going to cancel Mediterranean Front production entirely. And we're going to focus on Western Front production. 47 is really good, though. We can focus on some HQ builds, right? So build up OKW, build up Army Group E. That leaves us with 27 production points. Let's go ahead and build up this. Now we're down to 24. Let's build up these two. Now we're down to 18, right? With the remaining 18 that we have, let's go ahead and build up this armored units. Now we're down to 10. Let's go build up this unit here in Amsterdam. Now we're down to 6. And the last remaining build, I think, should go to this mech corps over here. Oh, dang, this infantry unit, it would have been nice to have available too. Let's go ahead and build up this mech corps like so. And I guess the idea right now is that we keep building up our reserves so that we can launch this counteroffensive sooner rather than later. Eastern Front production is at 92. I'm gonna go ahead and build up OKH, Army Group South, Army Group Center. Now we're down to 62 production points. Let's focus on infantry build, right? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I guess 14, 15, right? Or I guess we'll build these guys up, 14, 15. Yep, that's it. So all the German units are basically at full strength again on the Eastern Front. That's good to see. All the main ones are. Except for this Panzer Corps that's still under strength. We didn't swap that out. But all the infantry are full strength, and we are in a position to continue the winter offensive against the Soviets. All right, that's pretty cool. Oh, we could have built up this armored Panzer Corps over here. Let's do that. Cancel this build. Build this guy up by 1. But yeah, right now, I mean, we desperately need to save the Mediterranean front, right? And it's going to really come down to how well the British can launch an offensive against the Axis. I know that the Germans had another infantry unit, right? Oh, it's over here, the 90th. That unit, army group with expeditionary group, should probably be sent down to Tunisia and occupy Tunisia if we can. Because if Vichy France switches sides, right? Yeah, I know that the allies are able to deploy. There's one unit that can switch sides, right? I think though it's deployed during production. Yeah, it's deployed during production. Never mind. All right. Not really. There's not many units that we could use. Yeah, unfortunately, it really comes down to this battle of homes. If we want to save the axis there or not. I mean, it would be nice. Maybe like I don't know. We can do some air support, unsupported combat. I think this HQ has air support, but it's unsupported combat, right? Yeah, it's a rough situation for the Axis for sure. And the Allies did land in Algeria. So presumably, like all this territory west of Tunisia is under Allied control. So that's a big win for the Allies. All right, now we'll switch over to Soviet production. And the Soviets do gain actually 8 production points from Lend-Lease, which is a huge gain. Soviets are at 65 production points now, which is really cool to see. To be sure, I think they've lost, let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I kind of lost at 22. Oh, 23. Minus 20. Yeah, so they've technically only lost 3 production points at this present moment. Overall, holding itself together at the moment. That's good. We're gonna exploit on trying to build up. So first thing I'm going to do is focus on building up the infantry around Moscow. That's 6. Oh, we could have pulled out some units out here. I guess we're not going to do that. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. All right, 18 builds around Moscow. 20, 22. 20, what is that? 24, 27 so far. 65 minus 27, that leaves us with 38 production points left over to build up units. Our defense on Moscow has basically what it needs, which is really good to see. I think now it's time to build up the reserves right now. With 38 production points, we can build up a mean, very, very mean Soviet reserve build right now. Let's start building up some armored core and mech core. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going to go ahead and build up the second mech core, which used to be mech core. We're going to put establish like a formation to the north of Moscow, and we are going to attack this northern flank. Sooner or later, we are going to attack that northern flank. And in fact, we may even start considering a plan to go back and try to take Leningrad, right? Which may be like a long-term strategy as well for the Soviets. Try to take back Leningrad as much as we can. Anyways, each cluster here costs 14 production points. So if I build 2 clusters, that's 28 production points of build. Where else do I want to build these clusters? I guess let's go ahead and I'm going to build up another armored unit. So now we're at 36 production points. I'm going to go ahead and put an armored unit. I want to put it inside of Tov. Let's go ahead and do that. Just dump it inside of Tov. Another armored unit there. We're going to put another armored unit east of that in Penza. 2 armored units in that sector. We're doing well on mech. We're doing well on infantry. Yeah, we got more armor in that sector, which is really what we need. And then this extra mech, I don't really see the point of building this mech right now. I don't know where to put it. It's not clear to me where to put it. Not clear to me at all. So if I cancel that production, we're actually now down to 8 production points. Maybe we build up 1 more armored unit. So I built up, what, 4 armored units? 4 times 8 is 32, plus the mech. Where's that extra mech? 1, 2, 3, 4. I know I deployed extra mech somewhere. Oh, it's over here. Yeah, so that's 38. Let's go ahead and put this mech unit in Kalinin. It doesn't really matter where we put it because, Kalinin is double defense regardless. But the idea is if we're going to attack, I'm thinking send a mech unit forward as part of the attack because it can act, or maybe I use it as a operational reserve when we do attack. And it can basically deny the German ability to launch an effective counteroffensive. That's what I'm thinking. So yeah, we're going to build up 4 armored units. This last armored unit, though, I guess we'll put it in Stalingrad? Question mark. I mean, in the summertime, it can gain a lot of ground, right? But the problem is that this armored unit is going to work best in conjunction with other attacks, right? And it's like there is no HQ in this sector that we can really use to attack. There's nothing here in this area to attack with. So I'm thinking the better thing to do is instead of build this armored unit, it's probably build militia or not militia, mech or better yet cavalry. The cavalry are really good at taking territory, and like they're very mobile. They can pretty much operate independently, and that's what we kind of need, right? More militia, not more militia, more cavalry. I'm thinking, rather than building up this armored unit. I don't think we need this armored unit. So that leaves us with 8 production points. Let's go ahead and build. I want to save this mech unit for like a very concentrated battle, a very dense battle, and we already have one here. We got another there. That's plenty to go toe to toe with the German reserves, armored reserves in any of these sectors. So we got a good assembly of forces, but I need 4 more production points in order to build up another cavalry units. That's what I'm thinking. And I just don't see. Go ahead and put this cavalry unit in Stalingrad. Ideally, put 2 cavalry units in Stalingrad or 1 inside of Dov. I want to build it, but I just need 4 more production points. Maybe I'll cancel this 1 production point over here. That buys me with 2 more. And then I guess I don't want to cancel any infantry builds over here around Moscow. No. Unfortunately, I may just have to cancel this armored build over here. I don't think that's a good idea. We want that armored unit built up ASAP. But like I'm pretty sure, or maybe I think I have this 6th army here, right? We can cancel this build and this build. Yeah, that might work. So yeah, that might be more economical. And we got these 2 cavalry units over here. They can like take back a lot of territory all by themselves. Maybe I replace this cavalry build with a mech build. Or maybe I advance a cavalry and a mech together. Yeah, we're definitely gonna need more mech in the sector as well. I'll probably build cheaper mech for that, like weaker mech. The idea is to have 4 units, 4 to 5 units, cover this entire flank, and I think they should be mobile reserves to do that. So we could use one more, another mech, and like another, yeah, 3 cavalry and 2 mech is pretty good. They can take all this territory. We just can't have them get destroyed. They can't go to toe with the Germans, but they can mash the Germans in like terms of like operational flexibility and firepower, that kind of thing. While then we assemble another front to go toe to toe with the Germans here on this flank. And then we already got a strong assembly here on the southern flank of Moscow. I mean, they could, if they can break through, right? Even better. But I'm gonna wait until these other flank units are built up first. And then we'll have armored reserves, swap them out, win the war of attrition, and then at the same time defend Moscow. And then also try to attack in the north as well if we can. So we're trying to do a lot with the Soviets for sure. But I think that's the game plan. Put as much pressure as we can so that by summer 43, I think that's the goal, by summer 43, even if we don't launch a decisive winter operation now, like I'm willing to abandon the Soviet initiative this winter if it means that we can be toe to toe with the Germans industrially, economically, for summer 43. And as you can tell, there's a lot more units I want to build, and my goal is to pretty much build the entire Soviet force pool as soon as possible. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to switch back to the Germans, and I'm actually going to do one modification. I'm actually going to build up this French unit again. I'm going to build it up from scratch again. Deployed in, I think it's in Tunis. And the reason why I'm doing that, so I do want Mediterranean production, because I don't want Vichy France to surrender so quickly, right? I think the bottom line is that Vichy France is going to surrender next turn regardless of what happens. So North Africa may be, for all sakes and purposes, totally lost, and our hopes to retreat into Tunisia are gone. So no, I'll cancel that bill. Never mind. Oh man, we could have built this other mech core. That actually might be no. Actually, so maybe I know that I focus a lot of production over here, right? 20 production points were canceled, but I actually think we should try to save the Mediterranean front as much as we can. So you know what? I'm going to cancel some production here, and then we'll cancel this here. That was 6, and then we have 4 left that I want to cancel. I guess I'll cancel. It's 16 production points canceled, and then I got to cancel 4 more. All right, so that means I have 2 extra right now. So presumably, what is that? 27 this time on the in the 27 on the Western Front. I did 10, that leaves me with 17, plus another 12, and that leaves me with 5. And then I guess I built up, oh, okay, so we'll cancel this build here, and I'll go ahead and build up this infantry there. All right, so I'm actually not going to cancel Mediterranean front production. We're going to roll for 4. 4 dice in the Mediterranean front. Let's see what we get. Pretty good rolls. That's 5 plus 7. That's 12 production points. How much is a cadre mech unit? It's 18. It's 18, and we have, what is that? 5 plus 7 is 12. Yeah, we have 12 on the Mediterranean front. So yeah, I guess I'm just gonna save the production for January of 1942. And then over here, we're still on our way to building up what we need. So that was 10 plus another 12 is 22. And then the last one was this infantry build. Okay. So yeah, we're almost in a position to attack this area, right? Almost. We could use more, definitely more production for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm trying to, or maybe with 12. No, maybe with 12, we try to build up more units over here. I'm thinking like we should build up that mech core and use it to counterattack. Use it to counterattack homes if you can. All right, make sure, let's look at German reinforcements. Okay, good, good. Now let's switch over to the Allies. And let's see what the Allies gain. I don't think, do we gain more reinforcements in December? Nothing. Nothing until like April. So Allied production is going to go up by 10. We're going to focus another 5 on the Mediterranean front. And then we're going to focus another 5 on the Western front, like so. So very nice production. Let's start with the Mediterranean front. 7 dice. We gain 11 plus, what is that? Another 10. That's 21 production points, just enough to build up this HQ, which costs 20 production points because it's in road supply. It's exactly what we need. All right. And I think we, and then we'll go ahead to the Western front production, which is at 27. Build up this here. That leaves us with 17. There's not much more that we can build up. Any like dead nothing. So we're gonna have to toss out 7 production points again. That does not seem wise at all. Let's go ahead and build up. I'm thinking let's build up the field HQ. Let's do that. Yeah, the field HQ will be built up, and then we have 7 production points left over. Literally, there's nothing we can do. No other units that we can build up. No other units that like require reinforcements. We're just building up HQs. We can't even transfer anything. So that's that. All right, I think we're gonna continue. I think we're gonna do one more file, log file here, because even though the next season has started, I'm thinking that this operation, like, why stop in the middle of this operation, right? Like, let's not stop now. Let's keep going. Let's finish the operation first. So with the Allied Initiative, we're gonna activate the Allied HQ here. We got all these beachhead markers. We don't even need them. What I'm going to simply do is I'm going to move this second, I'm going to zoom in, I guess, second American Corps. We're going to move it into Algiers. So I think before we start the actual operation, I realized that I think the Americans do unlock another unit. Should she surrender or free France? What's free France? Oh, okay, it's after Vichy surrenders. All right, so Vichy hasn't surrendered yet. Never mind. So it is mud, to be clear. All right, so what we're going to do, is just simply activate the Allied HQ. And what we're going to do is move this American Corps into Algiers. And then I'm thinking, let's move this other one by rail. It's gonna be 2 supreme moves. Oh, I forgot to do, oh gosh. Oh wait, they still succeeded, but I forgot to do, acclimatization. Oops. Which is what happens when a new unit arrives. Something else to point out too, I just realized, these units actually don't have supplies coming in from Casablanca. So as a consequence, um, they actually have -5 production points for the Mediterranean front production. So meaning we have to reduce some of the production points from the Mediterranean front by these last two don't count. So that means that the Ally production in the Mediterranean front is actually 11 plus 5 is 16 production points. So meaning that this HQ can't even be built up. We're going to save that production. I can't tell what's blue because I have like my, oh yeah, I have my like daylight saving app on, so like everything changed colors, so I can't tell what's Western Allied and everything looks black to me right now. So I don't know what's Western Allied and what's what. So one of these two, though, I'm not sure which one it is. One of these two is blue for allies, but we're gonna move it to January, and we're gonna save the production to 16 production points for the allies, while the Axis are saving 12. Oh, I guess. Oh man. Oh, this is no bueno. Hopefully I did this right, but I'm gonna call it Mediterranean front. Like Axis is 12 production points, and then the allies 16 production points. They're both saving production. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, that should be pretty good. Okay. So that's that. That means that this HQ, yeah, maybe it's wise of this HQ over here can make its way over to Benghazi. Even if it's in Benghazi, still can't provide air support or combat support. But like, yeah, the British logistical situation is also very delicate. But I'm thinking it's going to be very hard for the Germans to make any progress. But like, the sooner we can destroy Misurata, the better. So we're going to go ahead and attack. Logistically, big gamble here. We are going to attack. And then I'm thinking, let's go ahead. The supreme moves, we're moving another unit to Algiers, right? Or maybe we try to invade Casablanca, or we wait another turn and we do it on the next turn. But like, the sooner we can take Casablanca, the better. It fixes the logistics significantly. But like, these units may not be out of supplies. I think they will be very soon. So anyways, this unit we're going to send over to Algiers. That's one strategic move. Another strategic move is to move this other units, the 6th by rail. 3, 4, 5, 6. Move it right there. Now we're in range of taking Tunis. And if we can take Tunis without a fight, all the better, right? In fact, this unit can actually move. Yeah, it's a move by road. So that's 3 strategic moves, and we got one more left. I'm thinking the last one is probably going to be to move this 5th Corps to Dover, which is what I meant to do earlier. And now we can do an amphibious invasion and go for Casablanca, right? And land in Casablanca. We need a group to land in Casablanca regardless. So might as well wait until the French get more demoralized or lose supplies. And then it's a guaranteed landing. And then we can establish a clear supply path to over from Morocco. And that's going to fix the whatchamacallit, the maintenance situation. I think it's called like desert maintenance, right? Yeah, desert maintenance. We've got some desert maintenance going on over here. I guess I don't know exactly where to put the markers. They probably should go on the production table, but there is some desert maintenance for the Mediterranean front at the moment. Yeah. All right, so that's that. Pretty interesting set of moves for the Allies. Let's see how the Battle of Musarata goes. If we can destroy the Africa Corps here, it's going to be a decisive win. But the Axis still can defend. You never know. See how this battle goes. It is combat supported. Airstrike does score a hit. Very nice. The Germans roll. They score 3 hits, 3 whopping hits against the Axis, against the Allies. 1, 2, 3. Definitely want to keep track of this. Go to December. So the Axis lost 1 hit here, 6,500 troops. The Allies, though, lost 3, which I think is about another 20,000 casualties. So the Allied casualties for this battle have been pretty high. I count about like 49,000 casualties for the Allies, while the Axis have been, yeah, the losses on both sides have actually been relatively the same, interestingly enough. The Allies are going to retaliate. Let's see what they do. They score a lot of good hits. They score 3 more hits, and just like that, they've wiped out the Axis. All right, so never mind. The Africa Corps is gone. That was 3, technically it was 1.5 plus 2.5. So you're looking at 4? Yeah, 4. 4 for the Axis. So it's 5 in total. Okay, so the Axis lost another 30,000. 30,000 plus like something like 42,000, something like that. More, 54. Yeah, like, yeah, 42,000 plus another 30,000. I mean, the Africa Corps is totally wiped out. I mean, the whole thing is gone. The whole thing is totally destroyed. Decisive British victory. 2 major victories, 2 major victory battles in the North African campaign, and basically Libya is all but gone, all but fallen. So awesome win for the British there. Before we even do the Axis, we get to do the Soviets, actually. Soviets have the initiative here. So we'll see what the Soviets can do on this turn. I think we are going to, like, I'm thinking we should activate Stavka right now. Or maybe we wait a little bit longer before we activate Stavka. Go ahead and activate the Western HQ, I'm thinking instead. It's hard to say what the best option is here. Maybe we like preemptively drive into all this territory. No, we're going to still wait before we make this push. We're going to have to build up a little bit more reserves before we do that. We probably should have built up mech units instead of cavalry. I think we should, if at all possible, just not spend anything on Stavka. Let's go ahead and activate the Western HQ. We are going to put a full strength army in there. And then we'll put another full strength army in there, the Shock Army. And then I can only pull out 1 unit, and I got 6 units in there, so that doesn't work. We'll keep the Shock Army as a strategic reserve. In fact, we'll keep this army as a reserve as well. Thinking we'll put this guy in, move this guy down. Try to pull out weaker units if at all possible. Yeah, pull out these 2 guys. So 1 unit in, 2 units out. Actually, I'm just going to pull out 1 unit. 1 unit in, 1 unit out. And then go ahead and move this 20th into Kaluga. like so. And then we got this 13th Infantry, also another useful reserve. We'll move that up. And we'll also move up this infantry over here. But the idea is we are building up some kind of like optional reserve here. Yeah, that seems to be a pretty good setup overall. Pretty good, pretty good. I take it back. I'm gonna move this army forward over here instead. Pretty good setup, not bad. Oh, let's go ahead and move this army here. Put this guy, I guess, over here. Yeah. Or no, maybe we'll wait a little bit. I guess I'll put it here. I don't know. I'll put it as a reserve. Oh, we'll move it up. Of course, if the Germans do attack, I mean, it's going to be a super deep inconvenience. But we have a pretty good reserve around Moscow. Really happy to see that. I'm actually going to deploy this Western HQ. I want to move up this 3rd Tank Army too. I think I can do that with Stavka though. Yeah, I want to like move up this cluster over here. We're going to advance with 4 units. Plus this group here is going to also advance. I think this HQ needs to be built up. This Ukrainian HQ needs to be fully built up if we want to do that operation. So we need to build up more HQs as well. All right, but anyways, it's a pretty good setup. We're just like putting in reserves, and we got decent reserves in this area. Pretty decent reserves overall, which is really good to see. But the idea is that we can launch a winter offensive or some kind of offensive around Moscow sooner rather than later. All right, that's it for the Soviets. We'll now switch over to the Germans. So, unfortunately, whatchamacallit, then North Africa is lost. It's all about loss. Oh, we didn't check the supply situation for Morocco and Algeria, right? All right, so Oran is out of supplies, or the Oran port failed to pass the blockade. And then what about Casablanca? Oh, they did get through. Oh my God. Oh, no, they did not. They did not get through. The 3 blocks it. All right, so these units are out of supplies. This unit's going to be eliminated. This unit's going to be reduced by 1. Now we can roll to see if Vichy France surrenders, and it does. It does surrender, just like that. All the units are gone. Vichy France is out of the equation. Very nice. All right, so the question is, what do we want to do, right? Like for the Axis. I mean, the situation is effectively hopeless. I mean, we could try to save this African Corps HQ. I think it would be pretty cool move to pull it out. The only problem is that it is I don't think it's going to be disrupted, number 1. And I don't think it can even blitz. So I don't know. It may not be worth trying to pull it out. But it is an extra HQ. So let me see if I can find the rules on HQs. It talks about HQs, the Axis HQs. Okay, this is talking about production, railroads, zone of control, combat, battles. Okay, here it is. I think we're getting closer. HQ air power, supreme HQs. Okay, combat support, mobile HQs. All right, here it is. Axis logistics. While gamers can load HQs into a front without limit, historically the practical limit of logistics is probably reached both in the East and the Med. In the game, therefore, historical levels can only exceed at the cost of diminishing return. All right, so something about Axis logistics. It says Axis HQs activating outside their normal fronts are penalized for command purposes as follows. They're disrupted for command purposes and cannot blitz, which is nuts to me. It's totally nuts to me. So that means that Army Group Africa, right, this HQ here, cannot even blitz. It's disrupted and cannot blitz, operating outside of the Mediterranean front. Now, it does cost, like, at the moment, 30 production points. So I do think there is kind of an economic incentive there to preserve it if we can. But I mean, North Africa is all but lost, basically. It's not looking great. It's looking really, really bad, actually, for the Axis. So, I'm thinking with OKW, the better thing to do, rather than trying to save the Africa Corps, is try to establish just a general defensive belt, like a defensive line to protect. I just realized we forgot to do the Yugoslavian exploit. But like we want to like be able to establish a defensive line. And right now, southern France. Oh, these French units also surrendered. But like the whole situation is just looking really bad for the Axis. And there's also this question of like, do we want to launch this attack? Of course we do, but when? I was gonna wait until February to do it, right? And it's definitely taking up a lot of our attention. So we got to be careful. We got to make sure that we're able to defend southern Europe as much as possible. And right now, the situation is just not looking great at all. So what do we do? I think for the Axis, the best strategy right now, we also need to like protect Bulgaria from a Soviet invasion, right? I mean, if the Soviets do invade over here, so we kind of want to protect these ports, I'm thinking. That's 2 strategic moves. No, that's not great. That's not the greatest best options that we can do right now. Let's go ahead and do like 1, 2. No, let's not deploy that unit 4 just yet because it is under strength. Let's do 1. Oh man, it just gives me goosebumps, the situation right now. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, right? 4, 5, 6. So that's 1. Yeah, it's 3 strategic moves, 3 more. I guess we'll do 2 more to pull out this Africa Corps to Tripoli. And we are going to try to pull it out. I think it is worth it. Meaning that this HQ should have probably been built up by 1. That would have helped a lot. We could have actually evacuated. I think we can on the next turn, actually, but it's going to disappear. I'm not sure, actually, if it has any supreme moves. It may not, unfortunately. Anyways, I count 5 strategic moves so far. Another one we want to do is like protect these Italian ports, right? So like maybe move this unit to Milan, to Trieste, right there. Protect all the major naval ports at least. And then I'm trying to like establish some kind of defensive line over here in case the Allies land, do some kind of landing somewhere else, right? Yeah, but it's just a messy situation for sure. I think that's it. Other strategic moves, I mean, there are more that we want to do, but they don't necessarily take priority right now. They don't necessarily take priority. Okay. All right, we're deactivating OKW. Eastern Front, we got some winter operations for sure in the Eastern Front. We're gonna keep attacking. That's the game plan. Do I want to blitz? Is the question. Probably, yeah. Let's go ahead and blitz. I'm gonna blitz with Army Group Center here, and we're just gonna keep focusing on these two positions. Try to take one of them. Not the most creative plan, but I think it should work. It should work. We're also going to do a river assault. We're going to cross over here. We actually need to do, if we want to blitz, probably should send a mech unit forward. I don't have any mech units. The mech unit I need is way down south. But I'm trying to send some infantry to Ryazan. And if we're going to do that river assault, I'm actually thinking, let's wait on that. Let's hold off on that. Go ahead and activate OKH. What we're going to do is move this mech unit forward north, like so. That's one move. Another strategic move is just to swap it out with an infantry unit. One, two, three, four, five, like that. That's it. Two strategic moves. Third strategic move, we're also going to attack over here in the north. About time we do that. And then we still have, what, 4 strategic moves left. What I want to do, I'm going to send, this is going to be, okay, hold on. We got 4 strategic moves left. Let's go ahead and double march this guy over here. Put it there, and that's it. No other strategic moves necessary. And we are going to like pour in as much infantry as we can. We'll pull out this armored unit. This armored unit desperately needs to get out. And we need to put in another armored units. Do I have any other armored units? Okay, I do, and they're actually out of range. They're totally out of range. So that one came out. That one gone in. This one came out. Problem is that I need like one of these armored units over here to actually attack Kaluga. Because only I'm attacking with 1 armored core. I don't have. Oh, here's another one. Very nice. Good. Okay, good. So it was 2 outs and 2 in. That works. That works really well, actually. Yeah. All right. So, do I really want to make this finish advance? Maybe not. I think I might cancel this move, actually. No, we want to do that to keep pressure on it. It doesn't matter. So we can still like swap units in and out. All right. I'm actually going to pull out this mech unit, put him here. And then I'm going to get another mech unit to move this one by rail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like so. I guess I can stay here. Yeah, because I want to protect his northern flank with the mech. All right, so big attack there. Relatively large attack over there. I'm going to leave a full strength infantry army up here in this northern flank. Do I have any reserve infantry? I do. We need to have them prepared. So I'm going to move 2 infantry this way. They can't even get into the hex from that angle. So I'm actually going to move one guy over here. So those 2 can go in, 2 units can go out, those 2 can go in. All right, that's a pretty good setup. Yeah, it's pretty good. All right. And then we got this reserve Panzer Corps over here doing absolutely nothing. We got a whole Panzer army here on the southern flank, and it's just doing absolutely nothing. We probably should use it for something, right? I mean, we probably could have pushed on my Kop, right? But I've decided to go all in on Moscow. We'll see how this battle goes. I'm going to put the airstrike marker here. It is a disrupted HQ, to be clear, because of the winter. But we'll see if we can make more progress on these positions, right? But like, if we can take these 2 areas, we're trying to launch winter offensives. It's not easy to do, but we have the economy for it. So we'll see how it goes. Western Front, I think I did everything on the Western Front. We desperately need to build up an Axis defense. We are going to rebuild the Africa Corps for sure. We're going to build it in Rome. But I think I'm trying to get this Africa Corps to pull out. If we can. Try to pull out. Maybe what I should do is pull back the Italian 10th Army as well. Have it fall back to Tripoli. It's going to buy us just a little bit